the pass to Leitner. Puts it up. Yes!
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
They go length of the court with Archie Diacono. 3 seconds at midcourt. Jenkins gives it to Jenkins for the championship. The national champions with Jenkins hitting the winner at the buzzer.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
They must make one here to extend the game. Collins driving, almost lost the handle. Chalmers for the tie. Got it with 2 seconds. Unbelievable.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
He rifles it right in front of us to Abdul Rahman at midcourt. Extra pass. And it goes for the win. The three-pointer by Jordan Poole.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
Jesperson, half-court heave for the win. Jesperson does it. Northern Iowa wins it at the buzzer, 75-72.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
Let the games begin. The NCAA tournament, which had the 4 games on Tuesday, Wednesday, today is almost like a national holiday. And for a lot of people, whether it's today or tomorrow, it's like the opening round of the Masters, the opening day of Major League Baseball. And we've already had one of those wow moments. Yesterday, a couple of days ago, Terrence Oglesby from thefield68.com was on our show. And he said, take Furman as one of the double-digit favorites as far as a team that could do some damage. I texted him earlier, Furman, as they had a steal at midcourt, hit a 3, and then held off a long 3 and beat number 4 seed Virginia to kick off the tournament. Big 12, 0-1, West Virginia beaten in a back-and-forth slugfest with Maryland, but Furman.
I feel very bad for was it Clark from Virginia that threw the pass
to midcourt?
I don't know what he was. Look, they're up 2 with, time winding down. I know he was trapped there, but I mean, let him foul you. Hold the ball.
I don't know. I don't know what the possession arrow was, if there was like a jump ball or whatever, but yeah. I
mean, it just, that was, and even still, even if there was a jump ball, that was one of the worst decisions he could have made. So, that's just gut punch for.
Still have to make the 3 though.
Yeah, still got to make the 3.
And a chance to make a 3. Big 12 is 1-1. Kansas just demolished Howard, although they kind of played around with it in the first half. They win 96-68.
Incredible win for Furman, however it happened. I mean, who cares? It's a big-time upset win, and that's awesome for them to have that in their pocket now and be able to move forward and hopefully create some more chaos along the way. That's what we all root for, is the chaos, the madness, if you will, hence the name. That's as much of the fun as probably any part of this, other than just having a marathon of basketball to watch for those who love the sport and love college basketball in particular. But, yeah, I mean, incredible. I saw, somebody say, how many times do you think the word Paladins is getting Googled today? Mm-hmm. I would imagine probably more than any other day this year, although we're early on in 2023, so the Paladins have plenty more room now and at least one more game to make that, even a more searched word and put that more on the radar of people out there who haven't heard Paladins very often or if ever at all. So, yeah, awesome game, awesome finish, and tough break for Virginia. They've had a couple of those in recent memory. They've also had some great successes as well, but never fun to lose on day one, especially as a much higher seeded team. So that was awesome to see for everybody but Cavs fans and I guess people who wanted perfect brackets. I would imagine that busted a lot of people, maybe not entirely, but certainly the perfect bracket is going to be hard to come by, because I don't know how many people outside of Terrence Oglesby and maybe some folks like that who had Furman, but congrats to them. And, tough break for West Virginia. Just an ugly sequence to end that game. And it was there. I mean, they had an opportunity and, just couldn't finish the job. So good win for the Terps. And, it's a bummer for the Big 12.
Yeah, it was, because West Virginia really just suffocated Maryland in the first half. Maryland went like 6 or 7 minutes without scoring. Even with West Virginia leading at 1.16-4, I think Maryland led by 2 at halftime, and it was back and forth, and West Virginia up 5, 6, or 8. And then Maryland just made the plays down the stretch. And West Virginia, that's kind of been their DNA. They go into these lapses like they also force them. Alabama's winning big by 20 over A&M Corpus Christi. San Diego State, Charleston, just 5 minutes left in the first half. College of Charleston with a 2-point lead on 5th seed San Diego State. We'll get to quite a bit. Texas plays tonight. A&M plays tonight. But the Big 12 1-1 to start the tournament. Baylor plays tomorrow, 12:30 in Denver. And we're going to hear from Darby Brown of KWTX. She'll be with us live in about 35 minutes. And Pat Nunley, college basketball analyst for Baylor, will join us at just after 5.
As has been pointed out, Furman beating Virginia means that Alabama wouldn't see Virginia in the Sweet 16 like they would have probably otherwise. So people felt like Alabama already had an easy road heading into this, and now that road's easier. Although, you can debate how tough Furman could be if they're able to get past either San Diego State or Charleston, which is early on in the early part of that game, not to halftime just yet. But, yeah, that's one team, if you look at Alabama's path, that you can cross Virginia off. So that's big for the Crimson Tide.
All right, so there's that. Again, other games that are going on. In fact, right now, Texas A&M Corpus Christi, down 18 to Alabama as expected with a couple minutes left in that game. I do think that I understand that there's 4 play-in games or 4 super first round, and then those 2 teams in each day will play somebody else. You almost wish that all the 4 teams that play Tuesday, Wednesday would get games on Friday for an extra day before they play. But again, that's part of being a 16th seed. And then Iowa State and TCU are going to play a couple of the teams that advanced after wins. Arizona State won last night. They get TCU. And Fairleigh Dickinson winning, of course, will get Purdue as well. Iowa State also gets one of those play-in games. So there we are with that. We'll keep up to date with some of the scores as they go about. Now, is today the best day in sports?
I think it's the.
Yeah. I'm not trying to say it's better than the Super Bowl. I'm talking about a weekday. Let me make that clear, because the NFL opening weekend is going to be on. Well, there's Thursday night, but you know what I mean. Is it the best day in sports during the week?
Yeah, because if you think about opening day at the Masters is coming up here pretty soon.
Yep. It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday, but the drama in the Masters happens on Saturday and Sunday. I mean, not that there's not great things that happen
back nine on Sunday.
On Thursday and Friday. It's just more than likely the great things that happen on Friday are like, oh, did you see so-and-so, chip in this shot on 17 or whatever it is. So, that's the kind of things that happen there. And, yeah, I mean, this is just the best. Like we said the other day, this needs to – I don't know if it needs to be a national holiday, but if I am a business, I would, again, plan for less productivity and maybe do a team-building activity where you all watch games and have a blast with it, because – you're going to lose productivity on days like today, no matter what.
We talk about, teachers rolling out the big TV card. I don't know what they do nowadays, but they used to do that, and that was always a great sign, because even if it was a school documentary, it was still TV that you were watching as opposed to actual classwork. This seems like that would be a fun day. None of my teachers ever pulled the March Madness TV out, but that would have been a pretty cool thing to do. So, yeah, I mean, it is. But I would also say, in this comparison, doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. I mean, there's not really much competition. I mean, what is it? I mean, regular rounds of the Masters, that's cool. Scattered college bowl games, I mean, that's very hit or miss as far as interest level goes. So, yeah, I think that, there's the Monday night national championship game, but we all agree that night sucks for the national championship. None of us like that, I don't think. Or at least the majority of people don't seem to like that. That's something college football needs to change. But, yeah, there's no doubt that this is the best run. The only problem with taking, a national holiday is, what do? Do you do it today and tomorrow? Do you do it, next, where do you draw that line? But the first day would be very cool. It's just that tomorrow is the exact same thing. So you'd have to make it like a 4-day weekend. But, yeah, it's a fun day, no doubt.
Yeah. Well, it is begun. And, again, games going on. We'll update those scores throughout the show today.
I would like to give credit to two people who may not ever watch the show and remember me at all. But Coach Whelan and Coach Harrington, my freshman year at Bishop Verrill High School, made us all fill out brackets in class. Coach Whelan was religion at the time, and Coach Harrington was history. And when I had those two classes, those Thursday and Friday, we did that, and, they just rolled with it. And other teachers would wander in on their off periods and hang out and watch, including both Fathers Beatty that we had, twin priests. They would, what are you doing in here? Well, I got to bless this class. All right, I'll be here for a minute.
Yeah, no, I remember I can't remember the first time I ever filled out the brackets, but obviously millions upon millions, hundreds of millions, I would think, do that. But it may be, and again, on the Athletic opening page, there's a daily dose of Pulse that's set out. Merry Madness, longtime Pulse readers know my stance. Today and tomorrow are the best 2 days on the sports calendar, bar none. And that's what he did to lead off with what was going on. Now, there's a couple of stories. There's a lot of discussion, and there was more yesterday, and there will be more at some point in the next 2 or 3 days, or how many days, how many weeks, about college football, realignment, TV deal, the Pac-12, and whatever else. I want to kind of get off to the side of that and discuss the regional sports networks, because they're all flaming out. And Mike Vorkanews, and I gave this to Garrett, this is a story he wrote, that what's next for the NBA teams and fans? Where are they going to put games? There are, like Bally's and others, they are shutting down at the end of March. Well, some of these teams have games in April. The playoffs are not a part of this, but then again, the regional sports networks do carry playoff games.
And Major League Baseball has said that they will find local carriage, for all the games for people to watch. And then, of course, they have their own like streaming package or pay-per-view package that you'll be able to get no matter what. But if you are not paying for that, or you had planned to, watch your team in a different way, like just on the cable station, you are kind of screwed with all this.
Here's a quote. This is from Adam Silver, the NBA president. He actually made this quote. This is brutally honest, and you're like, wait a minute, hold on. We've all just been taking, it's not Adam Silver. This is from a president of one of the NBA teams. We've all just been taking the money for years at some expense to the access of games for fans. And now we're being forced to probably put the fans first, which might not be a bad idea.
No, it's
really?
not a bad thing. It's not at all. Like, great.
We might now probably be forced to put the fans first, which, of course, we know with the money they get from pay-per-view, from the regional network, whatever else, that was, to me, pretty amazing that quote made that article from Mike in theathletic.com.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, and there's a lot of, Washington, D.C. issues with this as well when it comes to Sinclair Broadcast that owns the Diamond whatever sports group, whatever their subsidiary is that owns the regional sports networks. So when Fox decided to spin them off and Disney and all that happened, I guess Disney bought them and then held them for a little while. Sinclair bought them, but Sinclair was already in kind of trouble because they had started to monopolize local news a little bit. So they had tried to have this big, gigantic merger, which got shot down, which shows you how big it had to be, given the fact that who gets shot down from that now in corporate America. So Sinclair has had problems since then. I won't get into why I think why, because I don't want the board to erupt in controversy, but they've had problems since then. And now they're on this, and they've overextended themselves. They're $8 billion in the hole on this deal. And Major League Baseball, the NBA are really screwed. There are, some teams that are fine, like the Knicks and Yankees and Red Sox, and that are on Yes and Nesson, who are owned by those teams. But that was foresight long ago that happened. Not every team can buy their own network. They don't have the resources or the availability to do so. So things are going to have to change. And it's very interesting, especially when it comes to those regional sports networks also carry some college football, don't they?
Yes.
Not a ton, but from time to time, they have been the home of some college football, especially if you are a team in, say, a conference like the Mountain West or whatever. Some of your third-tier games might be on that, or second-tier games might be on that. Some of your, non-revenue sports, baseball, volleyball, the championships are on that. So there's a lot of people that will be affected by these RSNs going away.
It's the Rangers have already notified Diamond Sports, even though the last payment due to them in March was paid, that they notified them that if there's any disruption at all, they will absolutely basically walk away from the agreement. As of right now, that's not the case, but they've told them they're on notice. Diamond Sports regional sports networks, there's 19 of them. 14 major league teams are tied into them. 16 of the NBA clubs are tied into them, and 12 from the National Hockey League are tied into Diamond Sports. The regional sports networks are right now just trying to figure it out and maintain, if anything, if they can survive. Now, Steve sent this to me. Men's basketball tournament rankings the last 6 years. The 6-year average, the network that they're with, the conference attached to the network, the 6-year average, this is in eyeballs. CBS, 3.5 million, the Big Ten. ESPN, which is loaded all the way down, along with a couple of times CBS, Fox, ESPN at the end. ACC next. The Big 12 third. The SEC fourth. CBS then with the Mountain West at 1.469. ESPN and Fox with the Big 12, basically the same number, just a little bit down. ESPN with the AAC. CBS, the Atlantic 10. Also, there's Fox, and then ESPN with the West Coast Athletic, which West Coast Conference, which of course has Gonzaga, who could be a member of the Big 12 at one point. There's the numbers when it comes to the 6-year average. Here are the numbers based on this year. So of the conferences, the Big 12 up a tick at 4%, and then you have the Mountain West, the Pac-12, the AAC, and the Atlantic 10 all up as far as their variance compared to the 6-year average.
Yeah, the ACC is probably down because UNC wasn't very good this year. The league wasn't very good this year. Duke got good towards the end, but they weren't great in the non-conference, which is when you're going to get some of those meteor on the bone ratings. But the Big 12, great all year. So you see the uptick in it because pretty much every game was fantastic in that league. So.
And the Big 12 having good numbers when it comes to men's basketball, and that is also something Brett Yormark is trying to capitalize on if he possibly can. All right, so there's a little bit of what's going on today. Halftime, Alabama leads by 20 over A&M Corpus Christi, and also near the end of the first half, San Diego State leads College of Charleston 32-29, 26 seconds to go. We've already given you the finals from earlier today, and of course, games go throughout the rest of the day. All right, to the chat room. Today. Well, I just lost the chat room. Up here it is. Go Frogs. Scotty B, I picked Furman on all of my brackets. Paxton, I'm not sure we can even have this. I'm still perfect on my 12th bracket.
See, he said I
How
asked
do
him
you know
yesterday.
which one to follow?
I asked him. I thought you can't carpet bomb something. You have to pick something and you ride or die with it. That's what you do. That's what tough guys do, Paxton.
Is that a man law?
It should be.
It's a sports fan law.
Yeah, look, I don't have the kind of money like Mattress Mac. And look, here's the thing. Even Mattress Mac does this. I mean, he hedges his bets really well, but he's also not betting on two different things so he can hedge the one bet when he does that. So, yeah, I don't have $1 billion like Mattress Mac just to throw around, but when I pick a bracket, I'm going to ride with it. I don't want to do it every which way. I just think, then you don't really know what joy is because you've not experienced pain.
I haven't experienced joy when it comes to a tournament bracket, and I can't remember the last time.
13 years ago, maybe right before the year that you came, I had a bracket that I had the entire Final Four and 6 of the 8 Elite 8 right, and I won my bracket. Since then, it has been there's so much red on every bracket I have. It's like Law and Order episode. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, only typically do one. I mean, maybe two if there's like a separate group thing that is done. But I'm not going to sit here and judge. But 15 or whatever seems like a lot. I just don't know how you could possibly enjoy it because, like, you're not. Like, if you root for Furman in one of them, like 9 of them you don't have them, and maybe in 6 you do, if that. And so like every game you're losing and winning. So that would be frustrating to try and keep track of. But hey, to each their own. If that's what you enjoy doing, then so be it. But I don't go that far. But I know there's a lot of people out there that probably put as many out there as possible and hope to nail that one, and then typically don't, which just shows you how nearly impossible it is to ace this thing, and that's why it's always so much fun, and there's always such competition surrounding it every year.
Clint Moses being in a tough league didn't help West Virginia. Still believe only 6 Big 12 schools should have gotten in. West Virginia, what were they, 7-11 in the Big 12? Lost by 2 today to Maryland. Had a shot from about, a little bit inside half court that would have won it, but it didn't go down. There's been some speculation about, okay, if you, and this was also on the text line, we got this in the text line today from the 254, you guys have discussed the Pac-12 and whether they stick together, and even the latest from yesterday's stories involving the presidents at Arizona and Arizona State. But it seems common around sports world that the next go-around, the Pac-12 has a significant risk of breaking up. It seems like the ship is sinking, even if they stabilize it this year or now. It seems like the long-term success is not guaranteed. Does that influence how directors and presidents act now, or are they more focused on the present and how they can try and stabilize the ship in the next 5 to 7 years before the next media deal?
Did y'all read the article with Arizona's? That's pretty interesting stuff.
Well, we discussed it throughout the day yesterday.
I'm talking about the one that was like last night.
Oh, yeah.
That was really interesting, really eye-opening, and it's funny how people take the exact same paper and they take it like 4 different ways. You know what I mean? Like, one person reads it and they're like, the Pac-12 is going to be around for 50 more years. And then another person reads it and the Pac-12 is going to be the 3rd best conference in America. And then another person reads it, Pac-12 is dying soon. The 4th person reads it like, Pac-12 is going to die, but it's not going to be for another 5 years. Like, and they all read the same thing. It's crazy, but that's also what leads to so much speculation and fun and also headaches with this whole thing. But to answer your question, because there was a lot to digest from that Arizona president article on The Athletic last night, I think that remains to be seen, but I think that's the tightrope act that presidents and athletic directors are trying to walk right now. It's like, unless you're in the Big Ten or the SEC, where you know that no matter what, you are secure financially, television-wise, whatever happens streaming-wise, you're fine in every regard, in every single regard. Even with NIL, you're pretty well set up financially to be able to handle that if that takes a sudden right turn and goes into basically full employment status. Now, there will be some changes that will still have to be made, but you're okay. Like, you're in no danger whatsoever of not being, around for the long haul. The ACC is a bit more of a puzzling situation because they are technically under wraps for the foreseeable long haul, which is like the next several years. And so obviously that's been a big point of the conversation, is how they're locked down. So you can look at that as a negative because they're not making as much money as they could, or certain teams aren't where they could be otherwise. But at the same time, Paul, there's security there. They know that they're going to get paid for the next several years. They know they're going to be on ESPN. They know where they're going to be. It's just that gap is widening. I think for the Pac-12 and the Big 12, I think you're starting to see these deals. And that's why the Pac-12 TV deal, it's not just about like the survival of the conference. And that's what I was trying to say yesterday or the day before. It's like, it's also about other things as far as the future of college football goes, including theirs, because you're looking at like the Big 12's TV deal lining up with the next round of all the other TV deals coming up at the same time. That's intentional. That's not, that just happened to land on that number. So I think like when you talk to a Mack Rhodes, for example, Baylor's AD, I think it's a bit of both. They're having to look at the right now, and especially for those Big 12 schools, they had to look at what can we do to just stay alive after last summer? Like, what can we possibly do there, and what's the best that we can make of the situation? But I think that they're also now, having signed their TV deal, already having to work and chip away at, all right, what does the future look like in 5-7 years, and how are we a part of that, and how do we handle that, and how do we ensure that we're a part of that? And so I don't think there's a clear-cut answer is what I'm getting at. I think that there's a little bit of both going on for those schools that aren't in the Big Ten or the SEC, and they're having to weigh a lot more and just basically survive each day while also setting themselves up for the future as best they can. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. And I think the reason, like, just to get back to the specific question about, if they're just, giving it a stay of execution for 5 years, then why do it? Well, look, I'll tell you why do it. We're about to have a 12-team playoff. I think we keep forgetting that in all this.
Yeah, for sure.
We keep forgetting that the playoff is about to expand 3 times its size than it is right now. And so because of that, we're going to see a couple years that are new to the contract that are, they put it on early with 24 and 25. Before they redo another round of it, and then it will probably be tweaked from whatever happens over the 2 years of 24 and 25 to better fit what's going on or to better fit the powers that be. Probably more the powers that be. And so because of that, 5 years from now, look, the Pac-12 and Big 12 could be sniping each other right now in this moment.
And they are.
And they are. But 5 years from now, they could be like, you know what, guys? I'm sorry about 5 years ago. We need to figure out how to work together because we've got to, legitimately slay these giants. Because otherwise...
Slay them? Or at least be in the same fight with them.
Yeah, I mean, be in the fight. We've got to be able to... Somebody's got to be able to do this, so we need to maybe help... scheduling matchups, all these different things so that we are both more attractive to TV. Look, the Big 12 is out in front now, and they're doing well on every move that Brett Yormark has made seems to be good. George Kliavkoff got caught flat-footed, and the Pac-12 is scrambling now. And we've heard a lot of talking points from every which way on this. But the bottom line is 5 years from now, everybody's going to have to look at what they're doing, including the ACC, who will still be 8 years away from doing it because they've got to figure out what is going to be best for television moving forward and what is going to be best for us to make the playoff, therefore making television happy going forward.
TV will be different in 5 years. NIL will be different in 5 years. The way things are ran will possibly be different in 5 years. 5 years is not that long, but it's also enough time for a lot of change to happen. And just look at what all's changed in the last 5 years. The introduction of NIL, USC and UCLA to the Pac-12, transfer portal, Texas and Oklahoma to Big 12. That's all happened in 3 years. So to look at 5 and predict...
Expansion of the playoff.
Playoff expansion. So to look at 5 from now and think that it's going to be, even similar to what we're seeing now, I think the train's down the tracks and it's moving now. There's no breaks in sight for the foreseeable future. So I think everybody's just trying the best that they can to navigate what they think's in store and prepare for that. But I do think there's there is a lining up of those TV deals. Like if you're the Pac and the Big 12, you don't want it to be like the ACC. You don't want a 15-year, TV deal, especially that's another thing with the Pac-12 TV deal. If they get it done, and after that Arizona article last night, they're not only saying they're going to get it done, but they're going to make more money than the Big 12. That's directly from the Arizona president. That's something that's obviously noteworthy, but what does the grant of rights look like?
Yep.
That's an important note. What does the streaming aspect of that look like? That's an important note. And so those are the details that I'm as interested in learning as anything. But, yeah, I think that everybody's just setting themselves up to secure themselves for right now and then revisit a lot of this. The word being thrown around was consolidation. I think that's still very much on the horizon and something that everybody's kind of trying to situate themselves and line themselves up as best as possible for what could be some more disruption. And I hope that answers your question, but that's why.
All right. Here are some quotes from the Arizona president in the article in The Athletic, and we'll go quickly with this. Darby Brown will join us in about 15 minutes or so. We have time. Arizona President Robert Robbins said he expects the Pac-12 to finalize a media rights deal within the next couple of weeks and believes the dollar figure will be better than the Big 12's recent extension. None of us aspire to win a bronze medal, but I think we solidly got the bronze medal in this thing. I think we'll be the third best deal out of the Power 5 leagues. He then went on to say, and there have been people sniping about whether or not there's been any contact. Has Arizona spoken with Yormark or the Big 12? He said he has spoken with Yormark and multiple presidents in the conference. Did not conclusively say his school will remain in the Pac-12. Rather, he's waiting on the commissioner to deliver official deal in writing. Until we see it in contract, we really don't know, but we've got a pretty good soft circle number. The majority, he said, will remain on, he said the majority as far as streaming and whatever else, the majority when it comes to will be most or all of his games on streaming. will remain on linear platform, which was, of course, has not been reported that way. More and more on that from him. And then he also had this on the person know what the deal you were getting was first. We've got to see what the deal we're getting, and then I'll be able to make an informed decision. There you go. It's part of just a long-ranging article.
He did say two things there, though.
Yes, he very much did.
He said two things.
And you can see on the reporting of which side people have taken. It's very obvious.
But look, okay, he said two things. And both of them could, are true in certain regards. But he said, look, we don't have a deal yet, and so we don't know. But we also think the deal's going to be very good. But he also hedged what he was saying and saying that, look, until I know, I can't make an informed decision. Yeah. And I don't think anybody in the Big 12 is actively, right now trying to torpedo the Pac-12. I just think that they're setting themselves up for if the Pac-12
as if
collapses.
What your Marcus said, what Mac Rhodes has said, what Jamie Pollard has said, what Gene Taylor has said, others have said, they will be there if, in fact, there's room for someone to join the conference who's unhappy in the Pac-12.
Yeah, and that PR part, that's really taken a life of its own, and some of y'all need a reality check on certain things. Like, I mean, it's one thing to think that, like, there's a plan in place to, like, put things in the media. Like, I think every conference does that, but, like, some are kind of taking it to, like, this weird extreme now where there needs to be, like, punishments, and, like, it's just, like, everybody step back and log off a little bit, and let's realize what we're talking about here. But besides that, I mean, yeah, there's nothing that indicates that they are thinking any differently than what the main. I think the problem with this story is that it gets so jumbled, in all of the noise. The story is the same that it's always been.
Yes.
And the story is the exact same as when Mac Rhodes didn't need anybody to tell him what to say on the telephone directly to us on multiple occasions. And as he's said and maintained now for a while, and you can read it however you want to, but he's been pretty clear with it. They are not actively looking to, like, poach anybody, but if the TV deal comes in for the Pac-12 and it's not satisfactory, then they will be available as a landing spot. And I realize you can take that as being nefarious or whatever, but that's just common sense that, yes, they're not hiding their feelings, but they're also not actively trying to cause the divorce. They're saying, like, hey, if you get divorced, we'll be here as your rebound, but we're not going to be the one that's like, hey, Joe's absolutely, it's not like that. And so that's how I've always taken it, was that they're just sitting back and waiting like everyone else. And, I saw a lot of, like, fist pumping and, and as much as you envision that on Twitter or whatever, but, like, a lot of victory laps and things. And it's like, yeah, if you read the article, it's very positive for the Pac-12. And again, part of the story has always been they don't want to join the Big 12. The Pac-12 wants to stay together. We've always acknowledged that. They don't want to jump anywhere. But they're also going to be smart for themselves and look at the situation. And if it's not enticing enough to stick around, whether the linear streaming part or whether the payout part or whatever it may be, then yeah, they're going to examine their options, which he acknowledged. So what is everybody, trying to make this as like a way more like, I don't know. It's been made weird. It's very clear, though, what it is. Like, get your TV deal done, and if it's good, then no problem. But if it's not, then that's your issue, and there will be some issues caused as a result of that. And that's all the story has really been the entire time.
And why don't we wait a little bit longer? What's really forcing us to make this decision right now? Robin's saying that a couple of different times in the article. And so there we are with theathletic.com in the article with Arizona President Robbins. Some different quotes than what we saw from him yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, he talked about a lot of things. I really appreciate that he went on record, and you talk about, like, PR and stuff. Well, it's very clear that Pat got their PR marching orders this week because they've been talking all over the place the last couple of days, and the Big 12's been pretty quiet, and I think that's been good for the Pac to go out and probably do what they should have done a few weeks ago, honestly. I don't think you have to bow to social media or anything, but I do think that a lot of the confusion and chaos that was created was a result of just not saying anything. And I know that there were people that said things along the way, but clearly this was the route to go. Not like a random comment to a newspaper. Like the Athletic interview was the better way to go to be more adamant. But there is a heck of a lot of, no, this is great, but if this doesn't work out, and he even acknowledged he was the one that was trying to get the Pac-12 and Big 12 to merge.
Yeah, biggest growth area for students coming into the University of Arizona. It's been very purposeful on our part as a strategy to try to get access to.
They go to like Arkansas gives you state tuition in there so you can go up and not have to worry about it.
All right, when we come back, we'll hear from Darby Brown in Denver, home of where Baylor is in the UC Santa Barbara tomorrow. And this is 365 Sports.
Just as teams are celebrating on the courts, your mountaintop experience begins during the Jeep Celebration event at Allen Samuels in Waco. Get a 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo with total values up to $5,500 on second and third row options, or a 2023 Jeep Gladiator Sport with up to $5,000 in total values. And if we don't have exactly what you want, we can help you build the new custom Jeep of your dreams. It's the Jeep Celebration event at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it.
These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics Trust. Baylor Scott and White Southwest Sports Medicine Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Chuck Verno, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Chuck Verno, 720 North 64th Street in Waco, 254-732-1161. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive is premier, elite, life-changing experience where you can change your mind, body, and soul. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. If you haven't been there in quite some time, you're missing out on the improvements for our members. New flooring in the weight room and locker rooms, new paint and mirrors added in the weight room and group exercise room, with more new machines arriving over the next few months. New free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines on spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, and Alex Botch, where you will be encouraged and motivated to grow. There's sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. The amenities are great. 16 tennis courts plus an 1,100-seat stadium court, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Visit our website, wacotennis.com, or visit Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
In NCAA men's tournament, Alabama is up big, although Texas A&M Corpus Christi is just kind of trying to hang close. Arizona Princeton early, 18-16, 8 minutes to go in the first half. If Princeton gets the lead with their offense and the ball, Arizona could be in for a long day. We'll see what happens. Baylor and UC Santa Barbara tomorrow. We'll have that game, 12:30, and then we'll be on with post-game reaction as well. Darby Brown, KWTX, our TV sister station, so to speak, along with the CW, is in Denver and joins us from Denver live right here on 365 Sports. So, Darby, what has been, based on what you've seen, kind of the mood of this team coming off how they ended the season in such a tough fashion?
Yeah, I think they were definitely humbled. I know we've heard Coach Scott Drew use that word, and I've heard some of the players today were actually able to go into the locker room, which was a nice change, and have a good amount of access with them today. And you felt like they were humbled. They tried to learn from the loss, and I think they're feeling ready to prove that they are better than the performance they put out there in Kansas City.
Darby, UC Santa Barbara, fired up. They feel like this is a good matchup for them. What do you think when they match up with a quad one team for the first time this year when they take on Baylor?
I think it's going to be tough for them. I mean, I think you can't count out any team that's in the tournament, but I think I like Baylor in the matchup overall. I will say I saw them practice today. I mean, it's practice. They have some guys who can really shoot. They had a pretty good practice going, but I think when you pair them up with Baylor, I think the matchup favors the Bears, but no, I think that, any tournament team, you can't count them out. So we'll see what happens. But overall, I would say Baylor just, looked like they have more comparing just what was out here on the floor today.
Darby, any insight on Langston Love and how he's coming along?
Yeah, so he was practicing. He was wearing protective goggles or glasses, I guess, not really goggles because he was kind of taking them on and off. But anyways, besides the point, he was practicing with those, and he was shooting pretty well. And, I would say if he can see and he can shoot, I mean, I don't see how he doesn't play. I think he's still saying it's a game time decision. And Scott Drew kind of said the same thing, day-to-day type of deal. But, I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not a doctor, so I don't really know everything that's going on. But from what I saw today, I think we'll see him play tomorrow.
Yeah, and he brings, and even Scott Drew told us this yesterday, he's 6'4", pretty thick. He brings a physicality that really you're not going to get much of that from Cryer or even Flagler, maybe Keontae at times.
Right, and especially I think Dale, that's probably where Langston has the upper hand, and if Dale's coming in for him now, I completely agree. He's a physical guy, and I think, who doesn't want more this time of year? So if they can have him go tomorrow, I think that really helps, and he's kind of just provide some spark even too, because we talked with him today, and it's not fun if he's sitting out this time of year. So the fact that he had to sit out in Kansas City, I know he's very motivated to get out there.
Darby, what do you think about the rest of Baylor's draw? I mean, they're going to play the winner of Creighton and NC State. Alabama's in that side. Arizona's playing right now. What do you think about their matchups, not only potentially for the rest of this weekend, but for next?
It's tough. I think you look at the bracket all around and probably everybody feels like they have a tough draw, but I think that's a pretty loaded side of the bracket. I don't know a ton about Creighton, but I definitely get the feeling from what we hear about him and things that would be a really tough game. Of course, we'll see if they get there, and Baylor as well. But so I think it's a tough draw. But no matter where you look at it, this time of year is probably a tough draw. So they'll take what you can get. I'm watching TCU practice right now. I guess I should show you guys if you're looking at the video. But anyways, everybody's excited this time of year, and it's all going to be tough.
Yeah, we see you sitting there in the stands. So, yeah, that's cool to have a little look inside the arena. What's it just like in Denver right now? Is it cold? And can you tell that a bunch of teams' fan bases have rolled into town? When you look around, does it feel like March Madness out there in Denver right now?
Yes, and I will say that's one thing, I'm glad you brought that up, that I'm sitting here and I don't see a lot of TCU fans, I'll be honest. And I did see a pretty good, small group, but there was a good enough group here for Baylor that they were getting autographs with the players after practice and stuff. So I think that was a good sign for the Bears. And, yeah, it is cold. I got off the plane and saw it was like 27 degrees. I was like, oh, boy, here we go. So I don't know if I packed enough warm clothes. But good thing is we'll be mostly inside this arena for most of the trip.
Darby, I will tell you, don't do what Smokey and I did when we were there and plan for it with a light jacket.
Yeah.
And then we got caught in the snow.
It was a blizzard.
And it was terrible. It was one of the more embarrassing things, I think, of both our lives. We had to go to a different hotel that was 4 blocks from our hotel. You could see it from the
just down the
drop
street.
off to interview Lisa Leslie for the show. And we had to, because we didn't have any snow gear, take a cab. And the guy was like, seriously? And Smokey's like, I'll give you $25. Just take us. We don't have snow clothes.
Oh, you guys know me. I'm from Arizona. I brought my parka, so I'm prepared. I'm ready to go.
In covering the things you cover, you've been to all the events, and we had you on, of course, when you were at the semifinals and championship game and all that college football. You've been with us for all the Baylor pregame as well. What is your favorite, anything in particular that has been your favorite thing to cover in your short career?
Ooh, that's a tough question. I mean, I think I was thinking a lot about Baylor's national championship game showing up here today and just how that was so awesome, but it was also so different. I mean, we were doing a Zoom after the game from up in the stands, and so, it was a really awesome experience. I don't think anything has topped that, but I will say it's refreshing to get here, to be able to get in the locker room again. This is the first time they've let us do that since the pandemic, so, they let us do it in Kansas City too, but it's awesome to be able to kind of feel like we're finally, back to that access that we had before, and so I'm excited to be here, I'll tell you that. But probably the national championship, we got to go with that one for Baylor.
All right, so UC Santa Barbara, the first game tomorrow. If you were to have a player that did not do much in Kansas City who you think will step up tomorrow, who would that be? And you could probably name most of the team, but some guys did play at least pretty well. Who do you think tomorrow must be better for them to take care of business like they're expected to do?
Must be better. I think Flo Thamba needs to be better. I think he needs to rebound better. That is jumps off the page. And I hope, being who he is and how long he's been here and how much pride he takes in this school, that he will do anything he can to grab those boards tomorrow. That's really what I hope to see.
Yeah, they don't need a big goose egg next to a 6'10" or 11 guy with no rebounds like that. The game with Iowa State. Darby, great to see you. Appreciate your time. Enjoy Denver. And maybe, depending on your time, perhaps we can get a follow-up with you tomorrow, depending on what happens tomorrow with UC Santa Barbara. We appreciate it. Darby Brown from KWTX and the CW, part of all of our Baylor pregame shows, wherever they were. We appreciate her time from Denver. Langston Love wearing the goggles. Kareem had goggles. There are a couple of players along the year. Some baseball relief pitchers have the goggles.
Kirk Rambis.
Well,
he just wore glasses, right?
Yep, he had it. And
Langston Love, I've already seen a picture. He's wearing like clear Oakleys. That's what he's wearing. He's not wearing goggles. He's wearing like basically Oakleys with clear lenses in them.
Yeah, they're much better than the day of even 8 to 10, 12, 15 years ago when you just had these, looked like you were, an alien.
Okay, my favorite glasses baseball player was Chris Sabo. And when I was in
Rec Specs
in 7th grade, I was on the Reds, and my parents wouldn't let me get contacts yet. So I had to wear, Rec Specs or something like that. And my friend to this day will remind me of when we had baseball team with the Chris Sabo goggles.
Well, if you have any sensitive, imagine what he's been through for the last couple of weeks when you have something that actually could have been either detached or something that was badly scratched. I mean, that's why I have very sensitive eyes. I had LASIK in 2004, and it was the greatest thing ever. And then about 3 or 4 years ago, I started to have my eyesight fade, especially nearsighted.
And now I'm back to wearing contacts, and man, it's an everyday battle for me. How sensitive are they? This one's got a little piece of so if you have something like what he's been through, the goggles allows you to play freely without worrying about any kind of problems with your eyeballs.
Yeah, I'm not trying to make fun at all, but I think everybody's eyes are sensitive. If you don't, I want to know why. Like how you don't have sensitive eyes. Like somebody just poke you and you don't even like respond to it.
Yeah.
You know. But I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, and I guess my best example was I also. Got those great genes passed down eye-wise, so, mine started going haywire like in middle school, but wore my contacts to sleep one night, and there's much better contacts these days, like versus what we used to have like 20 years ago, and woke up with a bad infection where it was just like closed shut and swollen and just leaking, and had to get, actually went to school that morning and
You're
tried to explain to my mom like I'm in a lot, like this is bad, and still ended up being at school and got called like 30 minutes into school, first period, like the teacher's calling like he needs to go to the eye doctor, this is ridiculous, he's in a lot of pain. And so sure enough, like, yeah, I had to go to the eye doctor, and he had to take the contact. He's like, how is the contact still in your eye? You've had it like the last 3-4 hours or whatever. It's still, I was like, I couldn't get it out myself. Like, it's in so much pain. So that was just from sleeping in a contact and that going haywire. You talk about like the dirtiness of a fingernail scratching you and the infection and all that. Like that's something that could go really badly. So hopefully Langston's feeling a lot better. I mean, to be out there today and he looks like his eyes are fine is really a great sign. But you can definitely understand if you've had to deal with eye issues before, how that could go really bad and how he could end up missing all the time that he's already missed and perhaps even longer.
All right, so here's okay. Paul had to go to the glasses because he's starting to get older. 45.
I'll be 43 next month.
43. Craig just turned what? 39.
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. How do you put your contacts in?
I mean, like, I can do it with one hand if I really thought about
There's absolutely, it's a battle for me when I get in front of the mirror to put in one in the left eye, one in the right eye. That's why the LASIK for 15 years was the greatest thing
But
ever.
I've been doing it for every day for 30 years.
My eye, of course, it also depends on who you sleep as far as what kind of glasses you have or contract. If you have astigmatism, that affects sometimes whether you can wear contacts, you're allowed to sleep in them or not, and all that.
I just think it's bogus that they can only fix a couple things with eye surgery and a couple things they can't. I need science to catch up so that I don't have to wear these stupid things to read.
I used to wear those damn readers.
The most embarrassing thing is when I'm in the grocery store and I'm trying to like read ingredients of something, and I'll have to like, hold on a second. I mean, this has too much salt in it. Oh, I can't do that. Doctor won't be happy about that one. And then somebody like walks up and sees me like, oh, hey, Paul. I'm like,
how you doing? Yeah. I had readers in every particular spot I would sit or be throughout the condo, and I just got tired of them, so I'm back to the contacts. On occasion at night when I take them out, then I'll go to the readers just for anything I'm going to do when it comes to on the computer and laptop. But I wish LASIK could be done twice, but I was told it can't be, and I would do it again, although, again, very expensive. All right, when we come back, Max Olson, theathletic.com. This is 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, they are the people that you can count on for not only a great deal on your vehicle of your desire, what you're looking for, trying to hop into a new vehicle, but also if you're looking to go the pre-owned route, they can hook you up there as well. And if you're just looking to get your current car repaired or looking to get some services done, they can hook you up with that as well. They are a one-stop shop, and they are the people that you can count on. And right now they've got lots of different offerings, over 100 vehicles on the lot and ready to drive home today. That includes a lot full of quality pre-owned cars and trucks, many in stock under $20,000. They're thoroughly inspected. They're ready to finance and affordable for almost any credit rating. Quality pre-owned vehicles ready to drive off the lot today at Richard Carr. So go and check out that Texas size selection. If you're looking for something a little newer and fresher and you want those 2023 models, well, you got the GMC Sierra SLT 1500s in stock right now. Qualified buyers can save thousands on those. And you can get also special financing, talking to the dealers over there on the 2023 GMC GMC Sierra trucks. So just head on over to the dealership or give them a phone call or visit the website and get all the details sorted out. But great prices, and thousands can be saved right now on 2023 GMC Sierra trucks. Same goes for the 2023 Buick Envisions. You can get lease payments with $5,000 down, cash or trade at $269 per month. Save thousands on a purchase. It's got a smooth and quiet ride, and it's a luxury SUV without the luxury price. So again, contact the good folks over at Richard Carr to get more information on the 2023 Buick Envisions. But that's just one of their brand new offerings, along with the Sierra trucks and that lot full of pre-owned cars and trucks. But on top of that, as I mentioned, they also have great customer service and great repair and service for your vehicle, whatever you may be looking for. If that's just looking to drive your current car or truck a little while longer, their award-winning service department is standing by to keep you on the road. And you can go to the website, richardcar.com, to see their specials and set an appointment for quick and reliable service. They've been in business now for over 23 years in Central Texas, and along the way has built a reputation as the people you can count on for your automotive needs. Richard Carr, run by proud Central Texans. Log on to richardcar.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
This is the soundtrack of life at Baylor.
There's a spark in your heart and a fire that's in your eyes.
If you're ready to take a big step toward a bright future, tap the banner below to check out the music video for a glimpse of life at Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Max Olson, theathletic.com with us, 365 Sports, most of the time on Thursday, most of the time, of course, college football and more. Max, have you watched any of the games that have started in the NCAA tournament?
Yep, I filled out a bracket. I think I got it done by 10 a.m. today. Pretty excited about that. And didn't know who was in the tournament until I filled out the bracket. That was enlightening. And I did see what the Paladins did. That was real fun.
Yeah, Furman is now at least the first member of the Cinderella Club, at least for this time.
And I don't get too tied to the bracket I put together. Like once it actually tips off, like I'm really kind of just rooting for as many upsets.
Yeah, just chaos, just absolute chaos. All right, so with the Stuart Mandel yesterday, the article that came out today talked to the Arizona president. There was an article yesterday involving somebody else with the Arizona president. I'm not sure how much of that you digested, but did you get anything out of what President Robbins said at Arizona?
Yeah, President Robbins at Arizona, to his credit, went on the record in several interviews in the last 24 hours to really kind of lay out all the cards of Arizona's views on this stuff. I thought it was fascinating. I thought, his Q&A with Stewart, I think they probably talked for 15 minutes or so, all of it on the record. It was really interesting to get his insights on just where this stuff stands. And certainly I think the really relevant comments is that, he does believe that the Pac-12 ultimately will end up with a TV deal that's actually better than the Big 12s, which is interesting because it feels like for the last few weeks people have been sort of kind of bracing and talking themselves into this possibility that it could be less. Clearly expressed some confidence that how this is going to finish out. Even talked about, being the bronze medal winner of the Power 5 leagues when this deal gets done. And yet at the same time, acknowledging that, he's talked to Brett Yormark and lots of other folks, and that, really would not close the door on leaving for the Big 12, or at least is not, 100% committed to the Pac-12 until he sees what that TV deal looks like in writing.
Max, it is weird. I mean, he said two things a lot of times. Yes, and SMU is interesting because getting into Texas would be good. And that's, for our student body, we'd like to see more students come out of Texas. Well, that really only gets you in a little bit, where if you really wanted that, then joining the Big 12 is probably a better marketing go for that side of it. We think everything's going to be good, but we don't know until we can't see. I mean, he sounded pretty sure that things were going to work out for the Pac-12, but he stopped pretty short of saying everything's absolutely fine and we don't need to sound alarm bells.
Yeah, that's right. And, I appreciated the candor for him and that he didn't just try to frame this as, the Big 12 is trying to destabilize this and all this stuff is made up. Like, obviously he is legitimately having these conversations and has in multiple interviews now talked through the positives he sees in joining the Big 12. It's not like this is just some sort of media concoction or anything like that. I think he does, like, he certainly, sounds like someone who's keeping his options open here and could kind of go either way, even though he's, generally optimistic that this is going to work out well for Kliavkoff and the conference. And so, and certainly it's a president that also understands the other factors here. Like, I know in his interview with Stu, he mentioned, there is at least the rumors and fear a little bit about, well, what if the Big Ten comes in someday and takes their two most valuable schools that are remaining, obviously. So, it's interesting, especially when you consider there's a perception that these Pac-12 presidents are really stuffy and really focused on academics. It was refreshing to hear him, get not just openly share his opinion and his views on all this stuff, but actually be pretty engaged with what's going on in athletics.
Yeah, no, it was. I thought it was a really great article, and I think it may be one of the most eye of the beholder articles that's out there, because it truly feels like, Max, it depends on who you are and what you want to happen on how you read that. Like, in basing that off of how I've seen people react to it. You know, like if you're a hardcore Pac-12 fan, you're like, see, nothing's changing. There was never a chance. Then there's some that are, well, the door's a little bit open, and then there's some that are like, oh, no, there's absolutely going to be movement. I guess just kind of it felt like an eye of the beholder thing based on how I saw people react to it.
No, I think you're totally right. I think everyone I like both sides of this. And it's hard to you don't want to put too much stock on what's going on Twitter and how much that's actually real life with this stuff. But you're right. I think you do see some people who are very dug in and who read this stuff and it's kind of that problem of confirmation bias where you read it and you're reading it to make sure that it aligns with the stuff you think or you've said in the past. And so you kind of you hope everything is in justification of what you think is happening. So, there's been a lot of that because this stuff has just gotten so extreme and, certainly, but you didn't see Robin trashing Yormark in the Big 12 and saying, they're harassing us and trying to, break up our league and all this stuff. I think he certainly it's clear he certainly has flirted back in this stuff and that Arizona has certainly, been engaged and seriously is at least considering the upside of what happens if they did join the Big 12.
Speaking of open doors, he talked about how great it would be to have, a footprint in Texas. And I think that's obvious for the Pac-12 schools of why that would be beneficial. And SMU's the only real logical candidate there. They were mentioned by name. He talked about them in San Diego State. But on your end, how much smoke do you think there really is? He said, they've got to get the TV deal done first and then they'll address that. But how much of a fire do you think is there as far as the Pac-12 and expansion goes?
Yeah, it's a great question, and certainly they're putting off that step until they get this deal done. A couple of weeks ago, what we were hearing is that it was still pretty mixed and maybe not really forming consensus yet on what to do. I think if you're at San Diego State, you're probably feeling pretty confident at this point that a deal will get done and that you're going to have a spot in the Pac-12. I think the SMU piece, certainly they've publicly explored that and stuff. I think the reality is, and partially this is, affected by the Big 12 adding the 4 schools they did in 2021. It's there's just not. Notre Dame's not coming, so there's just not that many other options out there that you feel like are very additive and certainly in a very literal way with the TV deal. If you add new members, it kind of makes more sense to add 2 than 4 because the more you add, even if you're bringing them in at a reduced number at first or over a short deal or something like that, ultimately those schools are going to be, cutting into your pie. And so, I'm curious to see, can they get consensus on that? And obviously, back in 2021 when they had a chance to go raid the Big 12, they couldn't get on the same page about that.
Max, your thoughts? The spring drills for some have started. Some are about to start, in fact, next week. There's now the 12 teams, 14 teams, this first year until things change. But there's a lot of storylines. Let's talk about the 4 incoming schools: Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, and Brigham Young. Which of those 4 do you feel like may be ready now to compete head up than the others?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think if Fickle were still at Cincinnati, we would all probably be a little bit nervous about how good are they? Are they ready to come in here and really win a bunch of games? And so that transition, I think it's what's really helpful for all 4 of those schools is, look, BYU's played a lot of Power 5 opponents in the past few years, and the other 3 schools are led by coaches who have been in Power 5 leagues before. So I think they have a pretty good sense of what it's going to take to adjust. I think the one that of the 4, the one that returns the starting quarterback, or you at least think is sticking with the same one, is UCF, and I think that's always a bonus. I think they've done a pretty solid job there of adding pieces, especially through the portal the past few years. So I'd be interested to see if they're ready to be really competitive in the Big 12 right away, but probably. And it's hard to assess with BYU. They've got some new pieces as well. Probably some bowl teams there, but it's hard to know just looking at it on paper. Is there one that can really, go win 8-9 games and really be in this conference race?
Yeah, Max, you would think that BYU most like in a normal year for them, would be ready to go. But they are, even though he's a transfer, I mean, they got a veteran quarterback, Keaton Slovis, but they don't really have the team that they've had the last couple years because, even with COVID and having older players all the time anyway, it's kind of a young BYU team. So that, they can't really hit the ground running either. And their schedule's a beast.
Right. And like, a couple years ago, obviously they had the big year with Zach Wilson, I believe in the COVID year. And like you saw, when they're right, I mean, they are just built different than the other Big 12 programs with how veteran their good teams tend to be. And so, they've got NFL players, obviously. Baylor added a couple of key ones from BYU this offseason. We know they've got some really good talent. And so, Slovis, I thought it was kind of a ho-hum year for him at Pitt, and coming over from USC. I'd be interested to see kind of how he fits there, and is this kind of the right move for him? But BYU's it's going to be a little bit of an intimidating road trip for the Big 12 members who haven't gone and played there before, and maybe you get some advantage out of that. I think Satake's a good coach, and I'm curious to see, once they, obviously they played Baylor and they've played some Big 12 teams recently, but just week to week, kind of how do they hold up in this?
So do we need to not use the term hot seat around Dana Holgorsen? Is that the vibe I'm getting based off of Sam Kahn's article, that he feels there is absolutely no hot seat to speak of?
Dana had some very memorable, colorful quote for Sam when Sam sat down with him. And I believe Sam, after hearing that quote, said, "Can I publish that?" And Dana said, "Yeah, go for it." So, I mean, that's Dana. I mean, he, you did hear around the conference title games last year and stuff like that. You kind of heard a little bit of like, there's something going on there. Obviously, like it wasn't, they had some good players last year and stuff like that, but it wasn't like the most exciting season for them. Like, you wonder if there's a little bit of stuff there, and he made it very clear there's nothing going on here. He's, won 20 games in 2 years, and obviously they did a great job in 21. And I think, certainly he's been very realistic when, especially after their losses last year, like, no, the roster's not Big 12 ready. It's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of great recruiting and a lot of improving and investing and stuff like that. But Dana sounds very confident that he will be the head coach of Houston a year from now. That's for sure.
The quote that he gave Sam, everything we do is about next year. In my mind, you're bringing 50% of your roster of high school kids every year. That's signing up for the future. There are teams out there going for 75 to 90% transfers because they know they've got to win or they're effing done. That ain't me, brother.
There ain't no bleeping hot seat in my mind. There just ain't. Yeah.
There just ain't. And didn't he say he's got a ridiculous, a ridiculous buyout too?
Yeah, he did.
For that.
Yep.
I mean, the thing with Dana is, the idea of being 50% transfers, like he figured that out eventually at West Virginia, and they became pretty reliably competitive, and obviously, the year with Greer and Sills and all that had a chance to almost play for the Big 12 title. Like, so he knows how to do it. I think he's got, Houston's a little bit different, but you can also get better high school talent there than you can in West Virginia. Like, he knows it just takes time, but the fact that he's lived it, like, I think he knows it's going to take time, but I know he's pretty confident that, like, he knows exactly how to attack this challenge at Houston.
Yeah, he has the experience of in the conference he's about to rejoin. And Pesman, he's an acquired taste, but I know he is and what he is, and I've got a lot of confidence in him. I know we've got a great coach. I know that he knows how to win it, particularly where we're going. It's a great article by Sam. He did a hell of a job in The Athletic with that on Holgorsen, who he doesn't really do a lot of these. He's kind of I don't know how available he normally is, but it was a great stuff by Sam Kahn. Anything else, Paul?
Well, do you guys think that Houston could be one of the best programs in the Big 12 within a few years? Like, I don't think that's impossible.
No, I think
yes. I absolutely think if they they get a court, it depends on the quarterback play like everywhere else, but no, I think so.
You hit on a Greg Ward again. We've seen what can happen when you got the right type of talent there. So yeah, absolutely.
And Max, I think what he also, Dana, is confident in is that he says, yes, I got a huge effing buyout or whatever he said, but he also only has to worry about pissing off one guy, and that's Tillman Fertitta. Right. So as long as Tillman Fertitta is cool with Dana, then Dana's cool.
That's right. And I think Dana genuinely does love this job. Like, I don't think that he's by any means going to mail it in with this thing and just think I'm set. I think he's very motivated by, he wanted to get Houston to the Big 12. And I think he's like, I've just every conversation I've had with him since he took that job, it's just like there's no comparison in terms of just what a better fit this has been for him so far, and then the opportunity there compared to his time at West Virginia. So really eager to see, especially like you look at 21. I think the knock on them was like, oh well, the strength of schedule wasn't very good when they won that many games, and so it's about to get a lot tougher for this program. And at the same time, over time, as we've seen with TCU, like you give them those resources, and eventually, if they make the right investments, have the right leaders, put it all together, Houston could be a problem.
And they have admitted that they have to get ahead. We have to get better when it comes to facilities. Pesman said that. Obviously, Holgorsen said that. Everybody's having their arms race. And Oklahoma State, $300 million here. Oklahoma's leaving for a different conference. They've got theirs. Baylor's building the new football ops center, and Texas Tech just unveiled theirs. Everyone's doing something, and now Houston's got to play catch-up to the catch-up, and I'm sure that they will with the boosters that they have. Max, thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate your time as always every Thursday when we get you or whenever it is.
Thanks, guys.
That's Max Olson, theathletic.com. It's a great, if you haven't read it, I know we have some of you who are Houston fans. If you're a Big 12 fan, it's in The Athletic on their website. Sam Kahn did it, and it is very eye-opening. Holgorsen just kind of basically just, here I am. Here's how I feel about everything.
He has a very similar situation that Mike Gundy had when that Mike Gundy has still to this day at Oklahoma State, but that he had when T. Boone Pickens was alive. Like, look, if you've got one guy who is out donating all the rest of the athletic department, then that's the guy that you really need to make sure is content and happy with your job performance. It could never happen at the University of Texas because there's so many big-time guys.
Yeah, there's some alphas.
There's a constant contest of, so-and-so gave $2 million, well, I'm going to give $3 million. And then you kind of go and go and go because that's how it is. And they have, it's great for them that they have all those big donors. Not every school has that, especially schools like Houston or Oklahoma State. So when you get that situation, I think it's good because then you can ward off, Charlie Strong, Tom Herman, even Mac Brown had to deal with. Mac should have had carte blanche for a lot longer than he maybe did at a lot of schools after winning a national title. But if 51% of the billionaires in charge don't like you anymore, then the tide's turning, it's over.
Yeah, the only problem with that is when you have a smaller circle like that, you piss off the one guy, then there's 91% of your influx that's all of a sudden gone, and you are left with a big pot of, almost an empty bowl, basically. Yep. So, I mean, it's good in that you can probably organize it quite a bit better, and as long as you're on good terms, then great. But it does feel like Fertitta then therefore has a significant amount of power compared to your normal booster, to the point of where it's like he's almost the guy in charge, and that can be problematic if you get crossways.
Especially if he thinks he's the guy in charge.
Right.
Here's a great note, and this is for Houston and UCF and for Cincinnati and Brigham Young, that sometimes over the last couple of years with all the realignment, of course, the Big 12 reacting to Texas, Oklahoma eventually leaving, Houston getting close to $7 million annually in the media rights revenue with the American Athletic Conference. They will get $18 million the first year. They will get $19 million the second year, and then eventually around $40 million, because there's the first couple of years where everyone kind of pitched in to make it work, and eventually from $7-8 million to nearly $40 million, you can start to get those commitments and start to be ahead of the curve or try to get back in front or at least even with everybody else when it comes to facilities with that kind of money. The budget when Pesman arrived in 17 was 55. It's now 78. Projects it to get to about $105 million in year 2 of the Big 12 membership, and eventually even higher than that.
Well, I mean, they've got a terrific basketball program, and, I guess the biggest issue would just be fending off people who could come after Kelvin Sampson. But, I mean, if I'm him, in the college basketball landscape, this isn't like I need to get to the SEC. He's
been at Indiana.
He's done that all. He's already experienced the Oklahoma situation, and so I think that he's he's great where he is, and they're great as a basketball program as long as he's there. And, yeah, all it takes is Dana Holgorsen finding a little bit of that magic. I mean, the fact that he feels secure in his mind eliminates, like, a potential distraction. But it wasn't that long ago Tom Herman and Greg Ward were tearing people up. And you putting, guys in the NFL, Ed Oliver, getting guys like that to Houston. So it's something that can be accomplished, and they were doing that without the Big 12 bump. So, having more money at their disposal, having better, competition, having, on paper, TV ratings, things like that. I think Houston's, I don't know if I'd say they're a sleeping giant, because that, to me, insinuates that they're going to be like competing for national championships around the corner in football or something. They're not quite that, but they are a team that's shown that, they can do a lot with what they have had. And so imagine them having a whole heck of a lot more. And you hit on the right couple of guys like an Ed Oliver and a Greg Ward and a Tom Herman, and you can make some magic happen. You can disrupt the college football landscape. So that's definitely not only a present, but in the future, smart decision, I think, by the Big 12. For the fact that you had to do something, I think that's a program, along with the other three, that make a lot of sense. You give them a little bit of a boost and see what they can do with it, and they should be able to do pretty well.
And it's worked out, look, in two other situations of, schools being brought up from the non-power Power 5 conferences or A5 conferences. Utah's now won back-to-back Pac-12 titles. TCU just played for the national championship. Yep. So it's worked. It works. If you have the right people in charge to funnel those resources where they need to go, it works.
Same thing as, San Diego State and SMU and the feeling of, what they could possibly do. SMU was a team that was talked about in the last Big 12 realignment. I don't know how far it got or how serious it got. Certainly we didn't see Bob Bowlesby visiting publicly at a basketball game. It never got to that point like it has with Kliavkoff a couple of weeks ago. But that is, an interesting angle that's remains to be seen as far as the Pac-12 goes is do they add those teams? And if they do it with the same idea in mind that they're sleeping giants or they are, just scratching the surface, and that with a little bit of that P5 push, even if you're more of a Power 2 person at this stage, that autonomy 5, you can't debate that. That would go a long way for those programs as well. So, there's a handful of schools that are getting big opportunities, potentially a handful, but 4 for sure in the Big 12, and let's see what they can do with it.
All right, when we come back, we'll hear from Mickey Spagnola, his thoughts on Zeke Elliott, and, of course, the release yesterday, the Cowboys moving forward, the trade for Stephon Gilmore, and more. Craig's off the radar in about half an hour. Pat Nunley, who covers Baylor, color analyst for Baylor Radio, will join us just after 5, and also today, Paul's Top 5. All of that and more. This is 365 Sports. Don Shumidor and Coffee Beans. I went by there today. Cheyenne and Ashley were there. I went by there today because I got another bottle of the Vita Dreams. Vita Dreams are a gummy, and I take one most every night. And I feel like I am getting more and more sleep than ever before. I go to bed a little bit earlier anyway because I get up earlier, and I guess that's what old people do. But at the same time, there are times when there's a lot on your mind. It could be projects. It could be goals. It could be things you got to do. It could be whatever. It could be just like financial or personal. If any of that happens and you're really struggling to fall asleep and you're restless, a Vita Dream can help you out. And I do them. I use them. And they really do. And next thing you know, I'm asleep. And when I wake up, I'm like, man, that was pretty easy. It's not like you're being drugged. It just allows you to relax, close your eyes, get some sleep, and get those extra 30 to 50 or 60 minutes, an hour or so of sleep. Vita Dreams. Yeah, there's cigars. There's a 48-foot walk-in humidor, but today I went by and picked up my bottle of Vita Dreams at Don Shumidor and Coffee Beans on the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year. Whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries, or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
This is 365 Sports. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com.
Prescott fires, caught, Lamb, touchdown.
Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Busy week for the Cowboys with Zeke Elliott no longer a part of the franchise after 7 years. The Stephon Gilmore trade with Indianapolis. Mickey here with us, Craig Paul, and I'm David Smoak. So, Mickey, the Zeke Elliott, just a business decision, and did Zeke or the Cowboys try to either keep the relationship alive?
You know, from what I understand, I don't believe they did. I don't know that the Cowboys made him an alternative offer that if you take this or that, or if we restructure it this way, we'll bring you back. There's part of me that thinks maybe they thought that would be insulting to him. I don't know how receptive he might have been to something like that. But again, you know, you cut him. Now he's got and maybe they felt somewhat obligated to give him a chance to, you know, test the market and see what's out there and see what somebody else thinks he's worth. And, you know, who knows? Maybe if he's still out there after the draft, you know, you could always go back to him and say, well, you know what, for 1 year, we'll give you this if you still want to try and play. but understand this is going to be your role on the team because without him, in my opinion, this makes running back a pretty big need for this team.
Well, yeah, Mickey. I mean, you know, even though with Tony Pollard coming back, I mean, it's only a 1-year hitch with him right now until that changes if he signs a longer-term deal. And even with that, you want to have some long-term security at that position. So, yeah, 26, you know, if the right guy's there, or even 58 seems like a good spot to draft a running back because of this draft being deep in it. So, yeah, I don't think that changes anything. And if they manage to have Zeke back in that mix, I think that'd be fine. But, yeah, it feels like time, doesn't it?
Well, let me ask these two questions. Number one, and maybe the Cowboys have the answer, and they've certainly hinted at it, but are they 100% certain that Tony Pollard, after the injury he suffered in the surgery, is the same Tony Pollard that he was before the injury? Do we know that?
Based on one guy last year alone, not to mention a history of other people, but they bet on Michael Gallup to be a little bit better than he was, and that didn't happen last year.
Right. Okay. And my second question is, when has Tony Pollard ever been the bell cow at running back in his football career? High school?
Yeah,
because he wasn't at Memphis, right? And he hasn't been with the Cowboys. You know, everybody keeps mentioning how he became the lead back, but he wasn't the lead back when it came to carries, right?
No.
And does everybody think that, okay, he can have 25 touches a game for 17 straight weeks? He's never done that before. So to me, that's why I said, you know, this running back position is certainly not settled by any means. Now, the Cowboys gain a little bit from a salary cap standpoint. They don't have to pay that $10.9 million base salary, but they're stuck with $11.8 million in dead money that's going to be spread out over these next 2 seasons. So you're counting for money on somebody that's not there. So, yeah, I think the running back position now becomes a priority.
Mickey, it's amazing how fast time goes by. I mean, it just seems like yesterday that Zeke was the best running back in the NFL, and, you know, now here we are, and they've parted ways. But just your kind of thoughts overall on Zeke's time in Dallas. Any favorite moment or memory of covering him and seeing it all now come to a close?
Well, yeah, I think it was a fantastic 7-year career. If you think about, you know, putting in context what he did in those 7 years, only Emmitt Smith and Tony Dorsett have rushed for more yards in Cowboys history in a career. And so and those two guys are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, by the way. So I think he's meant a lot to this organization, and I don't know if I can pick one or two things out,
sure,
but I do think I can say this with some sense of clarity, is I saw this guy show up in 2016 as a 20-year-old, and he's leaving right now, going to turn 28 in July, as a very much more mature person. And not necessarily on the field, off the field too. I've seen Ezekiel Elliott grow up and become a really team guy, and a guy that didn't hesitate to help younger running backs, Pollard included, with football in the locker room, in meetings, and I think that was a great change from. I guess we could all probably think back to where we were at 20 years old and where we might have been at 28. So I think that sticks out most to me. And a guy that, shouldered a heavy load for all those years and never complained or never said, I got to have more carries. or I need more touches. He just kind of did his job and did it awfully well. And my other point on Ezekiel Elliott is, so tell me who's going to add 12 rushing touchdowns to the team this year.
Yeah, Mickey, that's an excellent point.
Tony Pollard and whoever's not on the team yet.
Yeah, everybody wants to point out the average per carry that went down. He had 12 rushing touchdowns. And a lot of those, who's going to get those 7 from 1 yard out? Because there's a reason why he was put in those situations. Now, I'm not saying, 7 carries might have been different if he was only averaging 1 yard a carry on 7 carries, right? Because that's all you can get from the one. But he was scoring touchdowns. And so I went back and looked, and I understand it was 3.8 a carry. And I saw somebody point out what happened like the last month of the season. Well, the last month of the season, the entire Cowboys running game went downhill. One of the reasons, Terrence Steele was missing. And I know people will say, well, they had Tyron Smith that stepped in at right tackle. Well, he hadn't even practiced any football prior to a week or so before he had to take over at right tackle. And that last practice was the end of August, and never played right tackle since his second year in the league. So there was a little bit of an adjustment there. There was an injury to to Tyler Biotish, where Connor McGovern had to go play center for the first time on a regular basis in his career. They had to keep moving Tyler Smith from guard to tackle to guard. So there was a lot going on up front where the Cowboys struggled running the ball. And I don't know that all of that's got to lay at the feet of Ezekiel Elliott.
All right, you and I, and really anybody that's followed the Cowboys, if you look at their greatest running backs of all time, Emmett Dorsett, Calvin Hill, I guess Don Perkins, a fullback, but still he's in the Ring of Honor. Those 4 guys are in the Ring of Honor. Ezekiel Elliott now is their 3rd all-time leading rusher, 3rd all-time with touchdowns. Is he or will he be in the discussion with Jerry and company when it comes to the Ring of Honor? And I would say no, but Jerry sure was fond of him.
I would say there's no reason why he wouldn't be in that discussion. I think that, what he accomplished, now obviously, the top 2 guys ended up winning Super Bowl, winning championships. Kelvin Hill won a Super Bowl. Unfortunately for Don Perkins, the best the Cowboys did with him as the starting running back was to get to 2 NFL championship games that they got beat by the Packers. And his career wasn't much longer. I think it was 61 through 69.
Same amount of years, 7 years.
Almost the same amount of years, right? And so from a production standpoint and just what he meant to this offense, I think he needs to be in that discussion. But again, when you don't win, more than one playoff game in a year, I don't know that he'll be talked about at that height.
Yeah, and you think with the Cowboys' history and tradition of stars, that then you look at the running back, Herschel, a small amount of time, Dwayne Thomas, DeMarco Murray, they all were here for short little periods. But, you really think about it, and I looked it up. I had to look it up. I wouldn't have thought about that. But he's 3rd all-time. But, yeah, the playoff success, the ones you mentioned with Emmett Dorsett, even Calvin Hill, are a huge difference than what Zeke and really anybody in the last decade has brought to the table.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there was a couple good teams, but, there's always an asterisk in there, all right? His I think most productive season was his rookie year, right? Well, the Cowboys went 13-3 with a rookie quarterback, 4th round draft choice. Oh, by the way. So, it's like, there's probably a reason why when they got into the playoffs, Dak Prescott wasn't one of the best quarterbacks in the playoffs that year. But they got there. And remember how they lost the game, by the way, with another miracle pass by Aaron Rodgers to win that game in a walk-off field goal. So, but yeah, I just don't think I was somewhat surprised, but maybe I shouldn't have been. His release was the lead headline story in the morning news today. Front page, big headline. Might have been 3 inches. I'm not sure.
Jimmy Johnson.
But it was huge. And it was Cowboys, leaving from Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith, from Ezekiel Elliott. So, he should be honored. How many giggles did he give us jumping into the kettle?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. And just some of his performances, I just think he is a guy that never will have gotten the credit he should for the dirty yards he gained, turning what should have been a 1 or 2 yard gain into 4 yards. And there's something to be said for that. So, I just think people, should. And I had a problem with people just criticizing him for his performance this year because he had another injury that he was playing through. And if you watched him, he was giving everything he could in those games. And I think a lot of what he did helped Tony Pollard accomplish what he did this year, just from the fact that the change of pace was awfully productive for the Cowboys, getting, defenses getting used to Ezekiel Elliott hammering the ball in there. Then all of a sudden, here comes the lightning, and you all of a sudden don't you aren't able to estimate his speed because you got used to what Zeke was doing.
Mickey, this has been the most flurry of action in a couple days the Cowboys have done in the first few days of free agency, and it is also, though, the nice intersection of practicality and aggressiveness, which is a balance that, they used to be too aggressive. Then they said, no, that's not working out for us. Then they maybe kind of veered into being too safe. And now it looks like they are willing to take some chances, but under the right conditions, like Stephon Gilmore. They've brought back players on what appear to be really good deals for them that are easy to navigate over the next couple of years. So your thoughts on all that's happened, for people joining the Cowboys this week?
Yeah, I think that, well, first and foremost, they were proactive in re-signing. I don't mean re-signing their own guys. I mean dealing with restructuring contracts so they would have money to re-sign their own guys. Because if you think about it, before all these restructures took place with I should have a list of it, right? So I don't forget anybody. Zach Martin, they restructured. DeMarcus Lawrence, they restructured. Michael Gallup, they ended up restructuring. I'm going to forget one person that they restructured. Dak. They were $16 million over the cap. So a lot of this restructuring stuff got them out of that hole and gave them enough money to be able to qualify their draft picks and their rookie pool, which will be about $9 million. So they didn't have a lot of flexibility under the cap, but did manage, and I thought got really good deals to re-sign Donovan Wilson and Leighton Vander Esch. And I thought those were their two main guys that they had that were going into unrestricted free agency that they had to get back, and they did that. Now, it's a little bit of a splurge trading for Stephon Gilmore, who's going to count close to $10 million against the cap in the final year of the contract they inherited. And that's a 33-year-old corner. Now, I went back and looked at some of his highlights from last year, and there was some pretty impressive stuff coming out of a guy that was, playing at 32 years old. So maybe that contract needs to be restructured. We'll see where it goes. But he's been pretty impressive in the 2 days he's been at the Star, just how he's handled not only some interviews, but interacted with people in the organization that were really impressed with him. Kind of reminded him of T.Y. Hilton, how you had a veteran like the wide receiver was coming in and not against helping the younger guys. And it sounds like from listening to Gilmore, he's all in on helping the Cowboys at the cornerback position, which was a huge need for this team heading forward, if you thought about it, because it was Trayvon Diggs, Bland, and then basically you had Jordan Lewis coming off of surgery. You had Anthony Brown, if you wanted to sign him on a one-year deal, coming off a torn Achilles, that he might not be ready to start training camp for sure. So there was a problem at cornerback. And that's why I think in a lot of these early mock drafts, you guys, that you saw everybody was giving them a cornerback. Well, okay, now they got a cornerback. They've got a cornerback coach too, by the way. And now they can be more flexible heading into that first round at 26 in the draft.
Mickey, thank you very much. Great time to have you with Zeke and Gilmore and all the others, plus the stuff Paul brought up with those who were restructured to allow them to have chance to breathe. We appreciate you. Thank you very much for your time. Mickey Spagnola, longtime writer, DallasCowboys.com. When we come back, Craig Smoak's off the radar. Baylor color analyst Pat Nunley will join us early on in the 5 o'clock hour. Paul's top five around the corner. Updates, Arizona up 10 on Princeton with 12 minutes to go. Arkansas up 10 at halftime against Illinois. That game has, I think, just restarted. Go Big 12. Oh, my God. Alabama ended up winning by 21 against A&M. Corpus Christi, San Diego State, 61, Charleston, 57. And then again, Princeton, Arizona, Illinois, Arkansas. I just updated you on those particular scores. Arizona up 10, 11 plus minutes to go. Craig's off the radar is next. Stonewood Dental, Robinson, Texas. I have an appointment for a teeth cleaning this month. Can't wait to get there, and that used to never be the case. It used to be like, oh, my God, I have to go to the dentist. Dr. Steve Childress and Stonewood Dental have taught me better than that. They've helped me understand what dental hygiene, not just brushing your teeth, but also maintaining everything, and not just brushing your teeth or flossing. There's so much more that goes into it. And they've taught me that. And I've kind of built myself back into a lot more confidence when I go back to the dentist, where before I was like, oh, my God, they're going to have to do something. It's going to end up with a root canal. There's going to be a cavity. Something else is wrong. And I was scared of that. Not anymore. Dr. Steve Childress has helped me understand dental hygiene and helped me myself find my smile again. In Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist's office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your hometown grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and bakery. Hi, this is David Smoak. The butcher shop can take your customized orders for seafood, pork, and poultry and custom cut your favorite steaks from bacon wrapped fillets to T-bone to bone-in ribeyes. Cut specifically the way you want. They have Norwegian salmon fillets, catfish fillets, sliced ham or turkey and lunch meat, variety of cheese available, and several options of sausage links, fresh chicken breast or whole chickens, sliced bacon, pork chops, ground beef, marinated beef, and chicken fajitas, and always large briskets available, plus fresh vegetables. So the great product, customer service, and family tradition of the Bauer family continues at Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday. A full-service butcher shop and bakery available. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar. Brought to you by Pickup Outfitters. Since 1997, we've been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans at 220 Lake Air Drive or CreateACommotion.com.
All right, welcome to Off the Radar here on 365 Sports. Segment on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Take a look at some headlines outside of the normal discussion, whether that's the Cowboys or college football, realignment, all those types of things. But there's going to be a little bit of a dabbling in some college football and NFL in this grab bag, as we'll start off with a couple of college football notes. As a matter of fact, a couple scheduling stories that I found of interest. Yesterday, it was announced that the 2024 LSU-USC game that will be played in Las Vegas was now official, with the date and the TV broadcast all set up. LSU and USC next season will play at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. They don't have the that'll be, hold on. LSU will square off in the Vegas Kickoff Classic at Allegiant Stadium on Sunday, September the 1st, 2024. The game will be televised by ABC at 6:30 Central Time.
Great time.
So that's the details. 6:30 on Sunday, LSU, USC, Vegas Kickoff Classic next year at Allegiant Stadium.
I wish it was this year. Don't you wish it was this year?
Yeah.
There used to be the Kickoff Classic at the Meadowlands in New Jersey. And it was usually either two teams that finished the year before very high. Doesn't mean they all had everyone coming back. But it was a pretty damn good football game, and it really kind of matched different type of teams like that one will. And maybe they'll start doing that in Vegas. Why not? I wish I'd see more of those that first week in September.
Yeah, the one in the Meadowlands, by the way, my freshman year.
A&M?
It was A&M and FSU.
Yeah.
And I was sitting out in, like, the common area. We were all watching it. And growing up an A&M fan, I had never hoped that they lost in my life. And they scored a touchdown on a fumble recovery very early in that game, and I clapped. And, like, you would have thought it was like I farted in church, honestly. Like, it was really kind of response from everyone in the room. And I was like, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Florida State beat them 23-14.
Yep.
A&M was in it a lot. And Nebraska, Penn State, others.
So, yeah, Las Vegas next September the 1st, Sunday evening, 6:30 on ABC, LSU, USC. Any guess on how many times these two teams have played?
None.
That's incorrect, but not far off.
I mean, did they ever play the national championship game? Or a bowl game? Something like that?
You're asking a question with a question.
Yeah, I know. I don't think so. The answer's two. Yeah, the answer's two. USC won back in 1979 in Baton Rouge, 17-12. And then they played again in 1984. So, no, I don't think he was in much of those. I think it was just regular season contests. But LSU won 23-3 out in L.A. in 1984. So they're tied at 1 apiece. And now they will square off at a neutral site in Las Vegas. That tickle your fancy, LSU fan, Garrett?
I'm excited. I think LSU can go out there and blow the doors off of them. But, that's just me being a homer per se.
Yeah, sure.
But I just look, man, they're not ready for it. Those Cali boys don't want none.
Well, this will be Big Ten USC. Keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah, and a different quarterback.
Their debut, and there will be no Caleb Williams for USC either, because there is no chance in hell he's coming back for a fourth year, barring something crazy. But yeah, he will be the number 1 overall pick, you would think, in next year's NFL draft after this season. And so they'll be replacing and also making their Big Ten debut. So that's going to be notable for a lot of reasons. Kickoff weekend, Las Vegas, USC, LSU, third meeting ever. Yeah, just a lot in play there. So that's pretty cool. Meanwhile, another scheduling announcement, and I like these because these are just like clarifying previously, known games, or just adding details, or it's not like this is happening in 17 years from now. We're having a home and home with so-and-so. Like, that got to be a real common thing in college football there for a little while. You don't see as much of that. I think it's because nobody knows what 10 years from now is going to look like. So why are we scheduling for that far
10
ahead?
months.
Yeah, exactly. But Florida State and Georgia Tech. Speaking of kicking off the 2024 season, Florida State and Georgia Tech will be playing at a neutral site, but it's not Las Vegas. No, it's Dublin, Ireland on August 24th, 2024. The Noles and Yellow Jackets will play at Aviva Stadium in Dublin, Ireland, as a part of the 2024 Aer Lingus College Football Classic. So that is official first international game ever for the Florida State Seminoles. Georgia Tech had previously played and beaten Boston College back in 2016 in Ireland, so they're familiar with playing out on the old Green Isle there. They beat Boston College 17-14 in that contest. So big ACC game out there in Ireland.
Well, I'm going to make it my personal goal in life to go to this game.
You should.
I really want to.
It's next year, so get on it.
I would love to go.
Do it, dude.
We have a Baylor game we need to cover.
No, that's the week before they would even start. And even if they did, I wouldn't care. I'm going to be in Ireland.
Yeah.
Kind
of.
You didn't ask me to go to Northwestern Nebraska.
I wouldn't have stopped you. I'll be neck deep in Guinness and Jameson.
Like tomorrow with St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, but no, I would love to go to this. I think it's going to be great. This will also be no Jordan Travis FSU, much like no. I don't know if it's going to be that same level.
It doesn't matter anymore. They're back to getting who they want.
We'll see who the next quarterback is.
They're in a pretty good cruise control.
So they're going to lose a lot of guys this year after
they're built to win this year.
Yeah, they're built to win this year.
They're built to win in the long term, I think, with Norvell, but they're like built to win some titles potentially this year with all the guys coming back that they had. So yeah, there you go. Next year, it's a couple of kickoff games of major impact and major headlines and just teams, programs involved. So, yeah, that'll be cool to see both of those contests early in 2024. Meanwhile, an update on potential number 1 overall draft pick Jalen Carter of Georgia. He was in court on Thursday pleading no contest to misdemeanor charges of reckless driving and racing. His attorney told ESPN he was sentenced to 12 months of probation, handed a $1,000 fine, and also given 80 hours of community service. He'll also attend a state-approved defensive driving course. So 12 months probation, $1,000 fine, 80 hours community service, state-approved defensive driving course, and they can no longer, the state of Georgia, because of this agreement, ever bring back charges from this incident against him. They can't or they can't add additional charges. This is it. This is what he's going to get. They can't a week from now go, oh, wait a second, we're going to do this. Yeah, that's.
But I'm telling you right now, I remember somebody I knew that did community service or whatever, and it was like 40 hours, and. You think, okay, just go clean the highway for a couple of hours or whatever. And it's not just you're going into watch TV. It's pretty
I tarred
tough.
a roof when I had to do it. Yeah, I had to do community service once upon a time, way back, long time ago. I had to tar a roof at Texas College.
In the middle of
summer. In the middle, I lost a shoe. I lost a shoe that day because of just all of the tar and all the stuff that got. I did not arrive planning to tar a roof. So I just had new tennis shoes on, and had brand new somewhat new tennis shoes on that I didn't plan on ditching, but I did after that day.
Have you ever done that?
I had to clean out a nasty fire department full of dead crickets in the middle of cricket season.
Oh God, and they have the worst
horrible. Dude.
Paul, you ever clean any
like the
community service?
Yes. I've never. No, not because they made me.
I've torn shingles off of roofs.
Catholic high school makes you do community service all the time so you can get school credit, but nothing with I helped build a playground once. I did Habitat for Humanity, but nothing I had to go tar a roof or pick up trash on the highway.
Let me tell you something. That roof building, if you're on this is college, we made some money.
Right.
Tarring the roof though.
I have a friend who is now a judge, and he had to do community service when we were in college because he's had his record expunged, so he's fine. But he was going to one of these sorority hay rides, and the girl he was going with had a bottle of Boone's Farm or something. And not that he wasn't going to drink at this thing, but he was 19, so he's underage. She went to get something out of her purse, handed him the bottle. He was holding it in his hand. The cops came up. Everyone bailed, and Zach is sitting there.
So what was this community service?
He had to pick up trash on the highway.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, dude looked good in an orange vest because I drove back and forth.
Laughing at him.
Well, and littering.
Yeah.
But
throwing stuff out the windows. Yeah. No, I guess it's a crapshoot as far as what you get or whatever, but who knows what Jalen Carter will end up getting, but he's not getting jail time. I think that's, your main thought when seeing that he was given his punishment. But in a statement, per the ESPN article, his attorney said that Carter did not cause the car wreck, which ended up killing both recruiting staffer Chandler LaCroix and also football player Devin Willock. Gets into sort of what LaCroix was doing. She was driving fast, and that preceded the wreck, but they get into the details of saying that Carter was at the scene and he stayed on the scene until they were allowing him to leave. He stayed as long as he was supposed to be there, and it gets into more of a LaCroix and her blood alcohol level, but he never left the accident without being told he could leave. He stopped his car, ran towards the wrecked car while his passenger called 911. Even after being informed he could leave, he returned to the scene at the request of the PD to answer more questions and cooperated fully in the investigation. He had not been drinking alcohol, was not under the influence of any illegal substances, and if there was suspicion that he had been, then they would have, the police officers would have arrested him for DUI. That's what his attorney had to say. We do know that there was alcohol involved with the others, but that's from Jalen Carter, and that's today as a no contest plea. And we know just yesterday he was in the news again, being a little heavier than expected at the pro day. So no contest. Charges of reckless driving and racing, and he will avoid jail time, and we'll see how that affects him ultimately as far as the NFL draft goes.
I think he stays in the top 10.
Oh, yeah, I never doubted it regardless.
I don't think he's necessarily out of the top 5. The Cardinals are an interesting team to me. They have a lot of needs, and they have the 3rd pick, and they could maybe, trade out of the top 5, but I think he could wind up there. I think Will Anderson's probably going to be their pick, but then after that, you're going to have 3 quarterbacks in the first 4 picks.
So the possibility that he goes outside the top 5 falls in the lap of somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I just think that there would have to be one of those, you do your due diligence and you feel like this is something similar could happen again, and that would cause you to fall. If you feel this is just a one-off situation, then I think that, yeah, you're still looking at a guy who could probably go number one over. But I know because of the quarterbacks that changes things. But, yeah, I don't think he falls out of the top 5. But we'll see. I mean, there's obviously a lot of due diligence going on outside of just what, the media is talking about. So those teams will find out what they need to find out, and we will know what they found out based on where he ends up going here next month. Meanwhile, let's see here. A couple of other notes to pass along. There's a lot of different NFL signings today. Orlando Brown, this was actually yesterday, but 4 years, $64+ million deal, signs with the Cincinnati Bengals. Also had yesterday Miles Sanders agreeing to terms with the Carolina Panthers. Jamal Williams, running back, agreeing with the New Orleans Saints. All of those happening over the course of yesterday and into last night. So Jamal Williams, Orlando Brown, and then also Miles Sanders. Any of those stand out to you at all? Obviously, Orlando Brown just being with the Chiefs and the success he had there.
That's a hell of a protection for Burrow.
Yeah, that's interesting to go join the Bengals, who seem to be that team. The Bills are in that mix too, but the Bengals obviously are right there on the Chiefs' butt, basically, on their heels.
Great signing, I think, for the Bengals. And, the Chiefs signed Jawan Taylor because they didn't think they were going to keep Orlando Brown. I think it's going to be great. I love that Chiefs, Bills, Bengals could be kind of a nice little triumvirate going forward, and we'll see what happens, elsewhere. I think that if the Chargers start to make good decisions, there's no reason Justin Herbert shouldn't be there.
Sure.
And for, I'll just throw this out there. Here's my dark horse in the next 4 or 5 years. If Trevor Lawrence is anything like he's supposed to be, and it looked like he had that at the end of the year, then the Jaguars should be in the mix. But they have to make good decisions, which they are not prone to do over long stretches.
They haven't had Doug Peterson. I think that's the difference. You saw 1 year the difference
What
that he
he did,
made.
yep.
1 year, they're
Yep.
in the playoffs, and they're having a ball. So I think that's just getting started. But, the AFC is looking like a heck of a lot of fun for the next several years. So that's a great signing by Cincinnati. You close it out with some baseball. And right now, that's primarily focused on the World Baseball Classic. Had a boatload of games yesterday. There were 5 games yesterday. And then earlier today, just the one game, and the one game all day long, and that was Japan defeating Italy 9-3 in the quarterfinal. And that was a combination of, you had Ohtani starting the game, and then you had Yu Darvish coming in and closing it on out. But the Japanese get the big win, 9-3 over the Italians. So that sets up the rest of the bracket looking like this, where you have Cuba in semifinal 1. They've already booked their spot, and they are now awaiting, and they defeated last Australia. So Cuba is now awaiting the winner of the U.S. and Venezuela. And that game will take place on Saturday evening. U.S. and Venezuela in Miami, Florida. That ought to be a scene. A Saturday night and baseball in Miami. That ought to be a pretty cool.
If it's better than Dominican against Puerto Rico, then help us, because
I don't think
you
that'll-
guys even
yeah.
saw what I said on the text. That was
Yeah.
so damn much fun to watch.
But Cuba's awaiting the winner of U.S. and Venezuela, and that, like I said, will take place on Saturday. Then the winner faces Cuba the following day on Sunday night in Miami. That'll be an FS1 broadcast. So that's on the one side of the bracket. On the other side, Japan has booked their spot in the semifinals. They now await the winner of Puerto Rico and Mexico. Puerto Rico and Mexico will play tomorrow, and then they will play, the winner of that will play Japan in the other semifinal on Monday night in Miami. So the semis in Miami, the remaining games, U.S., Venezuela, Puerto Rico, Mexico in Miami. But there we go. Cuba and Japan, 2 of the 4 spots taken so far in the World Baseball Classic semifinals, and that will lead me to the bummer story out of the World Baseball Classic involving Puerto Rico and New York Mets pitcher Edwin Diaz, who is now going to miss the entire 2023 Major League Baseball season with a torn patellar tendon in his right knee, suffered while celebrating Puerto Rico's victory in the World Baseball Classic over the Dominican Republic. They beat them 5-2 yesterday, and with that win, got to move on to the quarterfinals, but they do the typical celebration, jumping around in the infield, and he falls to the ground and starts grabbing for his leg, and sure enough, gets taken off on a wheelchair, and he is going to be out the remainder, or all of the 2023 MLB season. So brutal for Edwin Diaz and for the Mets fans out there.
It was horrible because that was as electric of an atmosphere as ever that I've seen. It reminded me of, again, you don't see even that kind of atmosphere in a World Series because of how the Dominican and Puerto Rican fans are just phenomenal. Kind of look like a World Cup. Kind of look like a World Cup atmosphere. And then Diaz with that song Narco.
Yeah.
That I watch.
That was like viral last year. That was everywhere you looked. It was that video. It was all over social media.
When I go to get on the Stairmaster and any kind of whatever, when I start running again, that's the first song on my playlist is the Narco. I just love that song. That's my first song.
Man, Timmy Trumpet's in that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, no, I think it's a huge bummer for the Mets. I'm curious to see how they react to it.
Well, I hope that people don't overreact to it and say, oh, my God, the Major League players shouldn't be in the World Baseball Classic. But, that's what's probably going to end up being what happened.
And I think if you'd asked Edwin Diaz, he still would have done the exact same thing. You would have hoped that he wouldn't have got hurt, but I don't think he's going to stop wanting to play for Puerto Rico, especially given the scene that was out there. So, yeah, just brutal news there. Edwin Diaz out for the year, but there's a few things that are off the radar.
All right, it is 5:11. Upset alert. Arizona, with 2:15 left, has a 1-point lead on Princeton, and Princeton just had a shot to take the lead. This game is going down to the wire. 55-54 Arizona. Princeton maybe about to shock the world in that South region, but still plenty of time left to go. All right, Garrett, we have Pat Nunley, but do you have the menu from Scotty Scheffler? Paul, you and I talked about this. The Masters Club dinner, this is the defending champion gets to say, okay, this is what we're having for dinner. And Princeton just took the lead with 2 minutes to go. Cheeseburger sliders, firecracker shrimp, tortilla soup, Texas ribeye steak or blackened redfish, warm chocolate chip skillet cookie for the honor of the defending champion, Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, I'm sad that our former producer Armstrong is not here because he knows
Scotty
Scheffler.
Yeah, but we never got him on the show.
But I think right now I could peg that if you said, hey, Scotty, you want to hit up a TGI Fridays? He'd be like,
yep,
yes, I do, based on that menu. And look, the Masters will do that up in a way that
my God,
you'll never eat sliders or a skillet cookie at a place that's not the Masters again.
Yeah,
so.
The firecracker shrimp is something I could eat a dozen of those. 56-55 Princeton. When we come back, Pat Nunley, color analyst for Baylor men's basketball. Arizona on upset alert. My goodness, will that ruin a lot of the brackets? This is 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. 5 locations in Waco. The Magnifico pizzas. They used to be the pepperoni Magnifico. Now they have the sausage Magnifico, the ultimate Magnifico, which has got all sorts of meat on it. $9.99 if you order online. New mag for just $9.99, Marcos.com. The unlimited medium one-topping pizzas, $3 off large specialty pizzas. All of this is online, plus what else they have when it comes to various pizzas that you want custom-made, they'll do that. They can deliver. You order online, go pick it up. And then, of course, again, it's Marcos.com. 5 locations in the Waco area: Hewitt, Woodway, Robinson, China Spring, and Bell Mead. Bob Mock, the owner. Marcos Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
During Ram Truck Month, get incredible deals on Ram trucks at Allen Samuels in Waco. Come see why Ram continues to win awards year after year. Browse online or come shop the greatest selection of new car and truck inventory in stock today at Allen Samuels.
This is the soundtrack of life at Baylor.
There's a spark in your heart and a fire that's in your eyes.
If you're ready to take a big step toward a bright future, tap the banner below to check out the music video for a glimpse of life at Baylor University, where lights shine bright.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses. When it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why we take the time to understand your needs. Knowing you, that's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott in Conroe at 936-756-7717. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 5 o'clock hour is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments and financial advisor Chuck Verno, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
This segment, Baylor men's basketball, brought to you by Richard Carr Buick GMC, Richard Carr Motors, people you can count on. And my God, Pat Nunley, as you join us for the segment, you can always count on Princeton, huh?
Well, if I seem a little distracted, Smokey, it's because I'm watching the last 3 seconds. And Princeton just made a free throw. 15 is going to knock off a 2 seed. How about that?
And let's not, again, Baylor has to take care of their business, and so does Alabama. But this was a region that it could, if Baylor takes care of their business, affect the Baylor Bears. But right now it's affected a team I think I had winning the whole thing in Arizona.
Yeah, it's crazy. And earlier in the day, Furman knocks off Virginia. And tomorrow you've got Baylor at a 3 seed playing Santa Barbara, a 14 seed. That is the magic of March Madness. It's insane. But, it's interesting, too, Smokey. Seth Davis predicted Furman to beat Virginia. Who the other upset he predicted was Santa Barbara over Baylor. So yeah. Bears better come fully loaded tomorrow.
Wow, yeah, and again, especially the way they ended the year. Pat, do you think they can just kind of flip the switch and go back to who they might have been when they won 10 of 11?
I do. I really do. At this stage of the game, though, you've got to be healthy, you've got to be playing well, and you have to be confident. And right now, Bears got one of those 3 down. They're fairly healthy, hopefully get Langston Love back. But they have not played well the last couple of games. And I think Iowa State has shaken Baylor's confidence a little bit. They did not play well. They've not been beaten on the glass the way Iowa State beat them on the glass in the Big 12 tournament. I don't know when it was. And I've been doing this forever. I can't remember such a lopsided battle of the backboards. So their confidence is shaken. But their body of work is so good. You know, they knocked off UCLA. They've beaten Kansas. They've beaten Texas. They've beaten Gonzaga. And I feel like they know it's there. They just got to get level set, and hopefully getting out of the gauntlet of the Big 12 is going to help.
Pat, this is a UC Santa Barbara team. I've asked every expert about this that has not played a quad one team all year. So they haven't seen an Adam Flagler. They haven't seen anybody like that, more than likely. How much of an advantage is this for Baylor in that, you know, they've been playing nothing but quad one teams all year?
Yeah, I think it's a significant advantage. But here's the thing: with a team like Santa Barbara, you saw it with Princeton just 5 minutes ago. They're playing with the house's money. Santa Barbara is just happy to be in the tournament. This is their second tournament in 3 years. They've got a little confidence. They were knocked off by Creighton. They were a 12 seed a year ago. Creighton was a 5 seed. Creighton beat them by a point. And so they feel like they've got a score to settle there in the tournament. But they're going to be playing free and easy and loose. If they lose, they're expected to lose. If they win the game, it's a program affecting win for them. But to your question, I think, Paul, this is not the Big 12, and I don't think they're accustomed to the kind of pressure they're going to see. Now, Baylor is not the typical Big 12 team in terms of its physicality. Now, it's extremely athletic, but Baylor doesn't beat anybody up. And so I think the quality of the opposition is something Santa Barbara hasn't seen, but I think Baylor is a better opponent for Santa Barbara than some of the other Big 12 teams that they could possibly be playing.
How much the rebound discrepancy, which was hard to imagine that not even a rebound fell in somebody's lap in the last 6 minutes of the game, how much do you feel like that tests their manhood, so to speak, as far as especially the bigs, whether it's Jonathan or Flo or whoever? Yeah, I think it really does affect them. It would me. You know, when you get out rebounded 44-17, you can chalk that up to a lot of things, but I think what it suggests is lack of effort. And this team has never lacked effort, ever. And, you know, so I think just getting sucker punched like that time and again, and the Bears had a chance to win at the end, but I've said this all year long, you got to get stops. And to get stops, you've got to get defensive rebounds, and they just couldn't do it. So I think it's probably it may be messing with us more than it's messing with them, because these guys don't overthink stuff. They practice, and they just get ready for the next game. But I promise you, all week long, they have been doing one rebounding drill after another. It's kind of funny. Scott Drew was asked after the loss to Iowa State, you know, what do you do in practice to get the physicality and the effort on the boards back? And he said, come watch us practice, and you'll find out. So I didn't go watch him. I didn't want to watch that, but I guarantee you it's been very physical in practice this week, and I doubt we're going to see that kind of discrepancy again.
If Langston Love does, in fact, play, how does that improve and change what they're doing, even though he hasn't played in a couple weeks?
It helps him defensively. You know, he's a big, rugged guard. The better guards are not big, and Langston Love's a little bigger guy. You know, he's rugged. He knows how to use his body. So I think it will help them defensively, and it will help with depth as well. If they win tomorrow, they play Sunday, and having Langston Love in the backcourt mix, I think, is really going to help. He's been really productive when he's been able to play. His statistics aren't that flashy, but you think back to the Kansas game, he scored 9 points in a row in that game. I thought he was the difference in the game. So he can make that kind of impact, and I think he'll help a lot.
So what will the legacy be of these guys, Flagler, Flo, among a couple of the others that, and I don't know what the future is with Cryer. We know JTT's coming back, whatever, but what will be their legacy? They were a part of a national championship team, but the last couple of years, disappointing if this doesn't at least get to a second weekend.
Yeah, I still think they're Baylor Hall of Fame guys, athletic Hall of Fame guys. I do. Adam Flagler not only is a terrific player, he's a terrific human being. And the same thing for Flo Thamba. And if you just stop and think about it and take yourself out of the moment, those guys have won 2 Big 12 championships. They have won a national championship, and that's a pretty good resume. And they've represented the school very well. Adam Flagler, first team All Big 12 selection this year. despite having moved from his comfort zone, kind of the shooting guard, 2-guard spot, to playing the point. He did that to, I think, help his NBA draft stock. So maybe playing even a little bit out of position, but even with that, he's been the alpha dog really for this team. And both of those guys will be legendary in Baylor basketball circles.
For Keontae George, this is why you get a guy that's a one and done, because he can, fill it up scoring, get hot. What do you think this means for his Baylor legacy, how they do here in the next 2 weeks?
Well, he's already set a couple of Baylor freshman records. I don't know. I think the scoring record, he has, I think, more three-pointers than any other Baylor freshman in history. So he's been as good as advertised. He really is, if you just look at his body of work. And I think the game tomorrow, Santa Barbara, they go fast, they shoot it really well, but they can be scored on. And that's the kind of game that Keontae George likes. He doesn't really want to get in the fray. Not a great defender. He'll learn that, I think. But this is the kind of game that I think is tailor-made for Keontae George.
Yeah, and we always say, what happens if all the guards shoot the ball well in a single game? And aren't they going to need that, Pat? Whether it's Langston included along with Keontae, Flagler, and Cryer, but isn't that what they're going to have them carry them if they're going to go very deep?
Yes, they do, because I think they need to be great offensively, because in 32 games, you know what you are, and they're just not a really good defensive team. I mean, they're 104th in the nation in adjusted defensive efficiency as per KenPom. That's their lowest number since the 2009 season. So you're not just going to flip a switch and all of a sudden they're, elite defensively. It's not going to happen. So the guards have got to be great, and I think they will be. I think particularly tomorrow it's going to be a high-scoring game. But even moving forward, their offense has to compensate for their lack of defense. So the good news is they can do that because all year long they've been top 5 in the country in offensive efficiency as per KenPom. And that's just the horse that they're going to have to ride if they're going to make a deep run in the tournament.
You said you didn't go to that practice, but you have been, I guess, based on the way travel is with you and John and others, have you been around them enough to get a feel for how they are the last day or two?
I have, and they're upbeat. They're always upbeat. I mean, it really is a mood booster for me to hang around Baylor basketball because they're always upbeat. They're always positive. Scott has been. Even as difficult as the practices have been this week, Scott and Coach Jacobs and Coach Brooks and Coach Nunes and all of those guys, Coach Peterson, are optimistic. They're hard. They're difficult. I mean, they deal in reality. But these guys are the most optimistic folks I've ever been around. And I think that's going to pay off. It's too late in the game to panic and to just freak out about what happened against Iowa State. It's just time to get better. And that's been their attitude, and it served them well.
Why is tournament basketball at this point? They just got one and done at Kansas City, but there was always still, well, we have another game. Is it because it's do or die?
I think so. Yeah. And it's just, you've got teams, those lower seeded teams that are playing, as I said earlier, just with house's money. They're just happy to be here. There's no pressure on them whatsoever. And it's just that magic, really, that allows the tournament to produce the kind of upsets that we're seeing. We've already seen in the first day of the tournament 2 significant upsets, and we're just getting started. So I think that's what it is. And Arizona had pressure on it. Other teams are going to feel that pressure where you were expected to win by double digits at least, and then you wake up and you've got a team like Princeton that has a career day, and you get beat and you go home.
Yeah, and the thing about the game with Arizona, for the most part, dictated that game. It wasn't like sometimes Princeton, if they get the lead, they dictate the tempo. That wasn't the case. They came back on Arizona. I think they were at one point down like 10, and that's usually not how they win. They usually win by getting ahead of you, running that patient offense that drives people crazy and forces you to take bad shots, and they get to the free throw line. Man, that was special. It was great timing to have you on as they were sealing that unbelievable win against a heck of a team in Arizona.
Yeah, and when I think of Princeton, I think of Pete Carril. And they would just slice you up. right? They never had athleticism. They never had guys that wowed you with their ability to explode off the floor and jump, 2 feet above the rim, but they would slice you up. And what I saw was Arizona relax a little bit. And when you do that, they start going backdoor. They make ball. They're setting ball screens and cutting to the ball. Those guys are elite passers. You think about that play at the end of the game, where Princeton has a possession, and Arizona's got to get a stop. And one of the guards for unathletic guards for Princeton threads the needle right in the middle of the lane to a guy below the basket, and he gets fouled. That's what Princeton does to you. For an old-timer like me, it is a thing of beauty to watch.
I have to read this chat to you from Bobby B. I watched Pat Nunley light it up as a Baylor guard in the heart of Texas Coliseum. His senior year, my freshman year, dude was an absolute baller.
Oh, well, the older I get, the longer I'm out, the better I was. I'll just put it that way.
Pat, good job. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Have fun tomorrow with the broadcast against UC Santa Barbara. We appreciate your time.
My pleasure, guys. Go Bears.
It's Pat Nunley, Baylor radio color analyst. And we were watching the end of that Princeton, Arizona. My bracket's done. Normally I slide into Friday. It is officially done. I'm done. And we haven't even gotten to the second really level of games in the NCAA's opening day.
Well, think about the South bracket today.
Oh, my God, I know.
So the 4 seed is gone and the 2 seed is gone.
Yes.
So if you are...
And everyone already thought Alabama had an easy road.
Okay, here's the great news for Alabama, and then the next highest-rated seed left is Baylor.
Yeah.
So that's good news, but for Baylor... You got to get it done.
Yeah.
Like now, you can't.
If it would already be debilitating if you don't get it through tonight or tomorrow or even through the weekend, now even more so, as you mentioned.
This is lining up to me, at least in the everything that happens around them, much like the first run they had to the Elite Eight where they lost to Duke, where you don't do anything and everything around you works out great. Your first round matchup against St. Mary's works, you go to Monroe, you have Lace Darius Dunn brings the whole city out there, so you actually had, a presence, and then, you got great matchups in Monroe. Then you go, to Houston the next week, which is
your
close.
Backyard.
Yeah, you win in the Sweet 16, and then you get Duke, and of course Duke was blessed that year. That's all I'll say.
Well, they were also damn good.
They were very good.
They were good.
But
there was a lot of time left after that call. I know it made a lot of difference. But
and I'll just say that Butler game was maybe even more of that being blessed because they were mauling Butler and not getting fouls called against them.
You're talking about when?
The championship game that Duke won.
Oh, yeah.
They beat Butler.
Oh, yeah.
And, Butler was just getting fouled like crazy.
Craig,
but
you brought up Butler. They were in it twice, right? Back-to-back years, man, and kind of had a chance to pull that down.
Yeah, that's good news for Alabama. But Brendan Miller is dealing with a groin injury, apparently, according to Nate Oates. He played less than 20 minutes today. And obviously, the big story surrounding him off the court has kind of subsided a bit as the tournament has come into focus, but that is of note because the on the court part, we know what a star he is for them. So yeah, he was a little bit more limited today, and it's a groin injury that he's continuing to deal with that occurred during the SEC tournament. So he'll rehab the next couple of days and look more like himself, is what Nate Oates apparently said earlier. So that's something to monitor as well.
I did not know that. Thank you. Also, there's a note. This is David Warlock put this up on Twitter. This is the 11th time a 15 seed has beaten a number 2 seed and comes 2 days shy of the 30th anniversary of the second such occurrence when Santa Clara beat Arizona. It's the 3rd time in a row that a 15 has beaten a 2. Now, remember, nobody had ever had a 16 win, and that's changed. And by the way, Illinois is storming back. They were down 12 to Arkansas, and Arkansas is incredibly erratic. They really are. They're almost overly emotional. And it's a 5-point game with 2.5 to go, and there's some pushing and shoving, and Arkansas is kind of losing their composure, and not to mention their lead.
Eric Musselman, before I finish this sentence, is a very good coach. But teams take on the personality of their coach, and he can do that sometimes too.
Yes.
I mean, against Baylor, it turned that whole game around.
Absolutely, the technical foul.
Yeah. I mean, I've never seen everyone stop and turn their heads. They're like, "What did he just say?"
Yeah, like everybody, even his players were like, "Whoa!" Yeah. They're very, very long and angular and athletic, and they can jump out of the gym. But at the same time, they really just seem like they can't play 10 or 12 minutes consistently without having some sort of an issue, and then once that dam breaks, they don't know how to stop it. So that game's down to a 5-point game and 2.5 left, and just a minute ago it was a 12-point game. So far today, Maryland has won. Furman upset 4-seed Virginia. Missouri beat Utah State. Kansas beat Howard. These are the ones who have advanced so far. San Diego State tight, but beat Charleston. I mentioned Missouri. Maryland, I mentioned Maryland. Alabama ended up winning, coasting, although it could have been, at times it was a little sloppy, but they ended up winning 96-75, and Craig brought up the Anthony Miller story. Princeton stuns Arizona by 4. And right now, Illinois has come from 12 back to get to within 5 with 2:29. Illinois just had a steal and a jam. And there is some trash talking and some pushing and shoving that went on before a timeout. This is 365 Sports. Pioneer Steel and Pipe location, the brand new location that opened up in December after they had been in the same one since 1943. And no matter how many of the what you call the big box conglomerate type stores that have come into town, they kept fighting. They kept doing what they've done from day one with great product and customer service. And here they are now with their really nice, expansive, brand new facility on Loop 340 on the east side of I-35 in Waco. They're now carrying Quikrete. So if you want to get your post pipes, hinges, latches, and concrete for your fences and gates, saving you the time of having to go to other places, they have that with their location. The new 2,500 square foot showroom with over 1,000 new products in stock and all the new welding supplies, hardware, do-it-yourself components for any project, whether you're a professional contractor or the weekend warrior. The new facility also designed to make your loading experiences faster and also more efficient, with easy drive lanes along and around the building and much more room to get your trailer loaded up, so it's not just a constant okay, wait, back it up. It's easier. They have what you need when it comes to pipe, steel, and metal. They love to help you and understand the process of a metal building. They are excellent at that. They are elite at that, and they want to help you with that as well. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, the Pioneer Boys, since 1943, with their new location on Loop 340 east of 35 in Waco.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year, whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Speaking of which, Emery Winter giving me a heads up. And Emery, if you want to text me, just a moment ago, maybe even 30, 40 minutes ago, we were 69 subscribers from reaching 29,000. We always appreciate the various thresholds that we can reach. 69 subs, and this was 30 minutes or so ago, so maybe a little bit less of 29,000 subscribers. And to do that when we have been on the air less than 3 years, and really the YouTube part was kind of available, but it was different the way we went about it. We appreciate everybody that's with us every single day for being a part of the growth. By the way, Brett Yormark on the phone with President Robbins and saying, hey, this basketball loss is unacceptable.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to also call West Virginia and say that's unacceptable as well.
It was a joke,
yeah, I know it is. I know. But yeah, that's a bad loss for Arizona. But that's the Pac-12's loss. That's not the Big 12's loss.
Yeah, it's not like the SEC when A&M was still in the Big 12, or next year, whatever, Texas and Oklahoma, if they follow suit with that.
Basketball doesn't matter. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. It means absolutely nothing. This is all about schoolwork.
God, you know,
I'm just having fun too. I mean, I can't help it at this point. I think actually, for all of the accusations that have been levied, it's funny to see. You know, when you talk about PR, the PR spin that's been put on people accusing people of PR. It's been a masterful job out west in some ways, especially this week. It's been brilliant, but it's very noticeable. And, you know, I'm curious to see where the end of this week takes us and then into next week, because it's very clear that if you want to point fingers and say Big 12 and Endeavor and all this, well, then that's been on the complete opposite side of the aisle this week. So we know we're winding down on time here, one way or the other. And so I think that it's been fun to see both sides kind of launch their salvos. And now it's time for something to finally connect, you know, in terms of a Pac-12 TV deal, which looks like, you know, we're a couple weeks away or somewhere in the next couple of weeks away. But yeah, that can definitely go both ways. And don't let a bunch of Twitter verbiage and like 50 tweets a day and bunch of hashtag nicknames and all this other PR style stuff that's going on distract you from the fact that there's PR going on both sides.
Yeah. You know what I'll always wonder about this? Okay, so when USC and UCLA left, neither the Big Ten didn't even have their TV deal yet. I mean, that was something that helped them finalize it. They pretty much knew what they were going to do, but that helped them, you know, push it across the goal line and the number that they wanted. But the Big 12 and the Pac-12 didn't have their TV deal. And clearly they were both also just in their own minds, you know, waiting to see what happened with the Big Ten, because that was going to figure out how much money they were going to really be able to ask for and make it realistic. What I'll never know, and we'll never know, is why George Kliavkoff, with a shorter amount of time than the Big 12, just assumed that there was like a line. I think that's kind of what maybe he and the Pac-12 thought was like, okay, the Big Ten's done. we're still reeling from this, but let's go ahead and, we'll get our TV deal done and let's do that. But they probably weren't pushing to the point of where they needed to be on that. And then Brett Yormark just said, there's no line. Let's go.
That's another thing how dare they jump in line and make the right business decision as though it was nefarious or that it was like
there was no line.
There was no line. It's like a lot of other things that people are being accused of. It doesn't really exist, but that doesn't stop somebody from tweeting about it 75 times a day and using cute hashtags or whatever the angle is. I mean, I think that it's gotten to a point of absolute absurdity. The Big 12, bottom line, made the smart move to negotiate early, at least on paper. Now, could you see a scenario where in a few months or like a year from now that maybe you go like, you know what, in hindsight, maybe they could have done this. Maybe they should have done it a different way. Maybe if they had waited, there would have been a better deal. I mean, perhaps, but looking at the TV landscape and looking how this situation has, been for the Pac-12 where say whatever you want to say, but like I guess every media outlet, including the Sports Business Journal, is a liar in saying that there have been some struggles in getting this deal done. The presidents have even indicated there's been some frustrations, which is all anyone has really ever said. So, with that in mind, then yeah, it does look like it was a pretty brilliant move because there's only so many vacant spots and there's only so much TV money, especially now. I mean, the Arizona president said in his article, part of the reason, to answer your question, let's answer it from the point of view of the Arizona president. They didn't think that all this money was going to start drying up. They didn't think that, like, all of a sudden, all of the streaming networks and the companies in charge of them were going to go, oh, crap, wait a second, we're losing hundreds of millions of dollars at, like, an alarming rate now. I guess we can't just spend wildly with, no breaks or checks, along the way. So I think that they just thought that, here's the Big Ten getting huge money. Here's the SEC getting huge money. We're up next. We're going to get this money. And then, well wishes to everybody else. And they just didn't, I guess, think that the well would dry up the way that it did. And they definitely didn't expect the Big 12 to go ahead and expedite their process. So I think it was just a smart move on the part of Yormark. Could you question it maybe down the line? Potentially, depending on what the Pac-12 gets and what the market looks like in a couple years when the Big 12 was actually expected to go to market. But now what they did was they not only got the deal done for now, but now they've set themselves up in line for the next round when everybody else is also expected to be coming up in the same time frame, which is really that part you look at and you go, okay, what's after that? Like that 5 years from now, like what waters are we wading into there? So yeah, I just don't think that they thought that type of move would be made, and they got caught, with their hands in their pockets.
They caught with their door open.
Yeah.
Or Kim Coulter, first ever super chat for $19.99. Thank you very much. Katie Rader sent us one for $2 for the growth and excitement and the congratulations. I love it when Craig comes out of his shell. Kim, $19.99.
Well,
we appreciate every amount of super chat. We appreciate you too.
Yeah. Well, just love college sports and love talking sports with y'all on a daily basis. And there's sometimes I feel like there's something a little more to add on to certain subjects. And I feel like there's gotten to a point now, especially over the last couple of days, where it's turned into a weird deal for some people. And I think they need a bit of a reality check, but that's not what they're getting paid for either. Right.
No, they're not. But it's the Big 12 that has the PR.
But yeah, that's the problem. So I don't mean that against all Pac-12 fans. I think the 99.9% are all good. And hey, I've maintained that wishing the Pac-12 well, not rooting for its demise by any means, but certainly, like Brett Yormark said, if something gives there, then something gives, and the Big 12 is going to be ready to hop on it. So. That doesn't appear to be the case, and that's great news for a lot of people, and I'm happy for those people that should be great news for. But there is a certain segment that just needs to log off every once in a while and just get a reality check, but I don't think that's why they're getting paid. So.
But they're getting a check. And Bobby B, another birthday does that for you. Old Craig.
Now I'm old and cranky. That's what it is.
God, then what the hell am I? What are you? Almost 50.
Not almost. Listen, I'm still on the left side of
You're on the empty part of the tank?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm good. When's
your birthday in April?
April 19th.
Okay.
So I'll be 43. I've got 2 more years. And then on April 19th, 2025, then I will be closer to 50 than I am to 40 the second I turn 45. So
we've got birthdays. Craig in March, Paul in April, I'm in May.
Arkansas
Garrett?
takes down Illinois.
Arkansas wins by 10. It got a little bit dicey there, but they had a couple of great defensive plays. Matthew Meyer, by the way, in that game, former Baylor player, had 2 points, did not make a shot from the field in that, what is his last collegiate game.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the end of the road for Matthew Meyer, and we obviously got to see a heavy dose of him over the last several years in Waco, and good luck to him and whatever pro prospects he has. But that's surprising that's how he went out. So they also had Terrence Shannon as well. They added
Texas
in the offseason.
Yeah, McCullough's still playing, of course, with KU. They won today. So the Big 12, Kansas won. The Big 12, West Virginia lost tonight. Texas plays from the Big 12. And am I missing anybody else? From Texas, A&M plays, and so does Houston. They both play here tonight. All right, when we come back, Paul Catalina's Top 5. This is 365 Sports.
I hate my job,
but I don't mind getting up in the morning.
I dread each day,
but I can't wait to get out of bed.
You ask me why,
and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Salsa drap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB, your bank for life. Member FDIC.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:45. Or is it 5:55? Either way, it's the Top 5.
Top 5 buzzer beaters. If you listen closely at the beginning of the show.
I did.
4 of these were in the open. One of them, the one I really wanted, the audio just was not that good because it's older. So
what year? I'll tell you who it is.
Well, we can't do that yet because we're going to build to it.
Okay.
So that would
give it away.
That would ruin the whole idea of
Well, if
segment.
they're not listed.
No, there was just the audio of it wasn't
okay.
good, so I had to find a newer one to put in.
Is Furman on here?
Well, no, because
Okay.
it happened.
And that was with 3 seconds left.
It happened about an hour after I did this.
Okay.
And we'll see if it compares to some of these. History will tell the tale. Number 5, 2016, Villanova versus North Carolina. North Carolina loses that game. They had to review it, but I always wonder when I see that shot, because they did have to review it and make sure there was still time left that Jenkins made the shot. They had already dropped the confetti and the balloons and everything. So had he not made it, they would have had to but they have two different colors of those things, right? Mm-hmm. So the Villanova balloons and they have the North Carolina balloons. So they would have to do they just dump it on and then Villanova has to go and sit sad. But that one was a great one. Cemented Jay Wright's legacy certainly as one of the greats of all time in college basketball. But yeah, that one, and I think most people were probably cheering against North Carolina because they are, one of the big, blue blood, big bad wolves in college basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's that. I think it's also that, Villanova's a basketball blue blood, but they're not exactly nationwide looked at as any type of a blue blood. So it was like, David versus Goliath in so many, even if it wasn't really that in basketball terms, it was that in some ways compared to kind of, I guess, what we are used to is the North Carolinas and the Dukes and those schools typically winning. It felt like Villanova was more of an underdog, but really maybe that was just my perception of it, that North Carolina is just kind of, one of the flag bearers of college basketball. But I mean, it's the shot that won the game. It was an incredible game, but I mean, the shot that won the game was just insane. It was everything you dream and wish of as a young kid and all of that. It was in real life to win a national championship with time running out.
Yep.
I mean, it's everything you dream of, and that's why it was really cool.
First time I ever really remember much of Villanova, and because of being able to remember back 40 years ago was when they upset the mighty Georgetown Hoyas in '85 after they had won the national title the year before against Houston when Rolly Massimino was their head coach.
Yep. Number 4, Northern Iowa versus Texas in 2016. This is the moment where the last, and of course he was still the coach for another little bit, but the last of the Shaka Smart holdovers, I think, kind of lost their faith. Because this was a half-court just bomb of a shot that shouldn't have gone in.
You know what this one was? This is one of those when you're watching the game and you just explode. Wow! Just pop your brains off.
They lost to Northern Iowa. They lost to Oral Roberts. I mean, they lost to, some teams.
Abilene Christian.
Abilene Christian. Oh, yeah, Abilene Christian, not Oral Roberts. Yeah. But, yeah, they lost a lot of different ones. And so, but this one, I mean, especially for Northern Iowa, they'll, the dude who made the shot will never eat and pay a bill again.
And then Northern Iowa then lost, but it was an unbelievable double overtime game I'll never forget against A&M.
Yeah.
So they almost clean sweep the state of the two teams from Texas, but lost to A&M.
His name's Paul Jesperson, and it was half court. I mean, it was a pretty major shot, and I would imagine he never had to buy too many meals with the Northern Iowa crowd if any of them were ever around.
He's probably got a sandwich or a pizza named after him, too.
I would think so, but what a huge moment. And I mean, that's another one of those, just heave a half-court shot. I mean, it's not to win a national title, but to beat a team that you're an underdog to in the NCAA tournament. I mean, man, that had to be just a feeling I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Number 3, this one had to be on the list or my wedding wouldn't have gone off. 2008, Mario Chalmers, Kansas versus Memphis. This one, Memphis had no business losing this game the way that they were up. This is also, I will say, one of my great prediction moments in the history of my sports talk radio career. And that morning on the air, we were talking about the game. I said, look, I just don't think Memphis can make enough free throws to beat Kansas. And I'll never forget as long as I live, I had jury duty in Woodway that day. And Judge Vic, the guy who was there, calls me out specifically. He said, Mr. Catalina, I need to talk to you about something you said on the radio. And I had made a copious amount of jokes about having jury duty in a municipality as Woodway. It's a suburb of Waco. There's not a lot of crime there. It was the actual case was a kid threw out a cigarette and started a small fire. in the grass and was fighting it because he didn't think he should have gotten that. And ultimately the case got dismissed that day anyway, or plea bargained. But the judge called me out and said, I have to talk about things you said on the radio. I'd never had jury duty in Waco before, so I was like, oh, man, I was making fun of this whole thing. He's going to chastise me. He's like, do you really think that my Memphis Tigers are going to lose? I said, yes. He goes, you're under oath. I said, I stand by it. And sure enough, I was right. And I don't think I've ever been that right in a prediction again since 2008.
His shot didn't win it, but put it in overtime. Yes, with 9 seconds or so left in the game. Yeah,
that was good to see plucky upstart Kansas get the championship.
Yeah, they hadn't won it since '88. That was 20-year difference.
Yeah, and then
Danny Manning.
And then 14 years later, they would do it again. Number 2. This one, 1983, NC State versus Houston. It just was not, like the audio, I wanted to put it in the open, just was not there. Just was not there. I couldn't get it with the music in the background. I would have to do no music for you to hear everything. But this is one of the great moments. This is the one that kind of, I think, invented March Madness as we know it now.
Well, I mean, Magic against Bird in 79. I think it was 79. Indiana State unbeaten against Michigan State. That kind of kick-started it a little bit because of the popularity of those two. But, yeah, this is when you started to see crazy.
Yeah, this is where...
Because UCLA won like 11 of 13 or whatever it was. So
I think this is also where television really started to go, oh, this is something good for us. Like this kind of drama is really good. And, of course, launched the legend of the wonderful Jim Valvano. And number 1, as much as hated as this guy is, this to me... in my lifetime will be the college basketball moment.
The shot of all time against Kentucky. Yeah.
Duke versus Kentucky.
Can I go back to Houston for a second?
Yeah.
I think of like the Marcus Dupree 30 for 30, like the greatest that never was, the best that never was. If you're talking about like NCAA basketball teams, is Houston and that five slam the best that never was as national champion?
UNLV was trying to win, I think, back-to-back, and Duke upset them in the semis. But no, that was just one team I thought about. But no, they were unbelievable.
I don't think any team's been talked about in the range of like just how incredible and great and national championship worthy and all of these things that they were, star laden, all that, but to not have won a title. You know what I mean? Like
they were number 1 in the country. NC State was in like 15.
More than the Fab Five. Yeah. Like more than UNLV.
Yes, Fab Five was more.
Because people still talk about Phi Slamma Jamma.
Fab Five was also a hype machine, but of an incredibly talented team because of all the freshmen.
Hey, think about how much it hurt the city of Houston that the Rockets had to get Drexler back. For he and Hakeem.
By the way, also that NC State team, not only that, I remember Al McGuire used to say you have to win a close game early in the tournament to win the champ. Of course, you have to win. They won by 2 against Pepperdine, won by 1 against UNLV, won by 1 against Virginia in the semis, and then beat Georgia in the Final Four, but in the semifinals. But they had 2 or 3 point wins before they beat Houston at the buzzer by 2.
But back to Duke versus Kentucky. I remember I was at church. I had to go to church with my family, and I was a little mad that I was not getting to watch Duke in Kentucky. And so my mom said, we'll tape it. And there was something on after that she wanted to tape, so it worked out for both of us. And I had on that tape forever, when she would put it in to like watch whatever it was that she was taping, that shot, I will never forget it as long as I live. I think I rewound and watched it 700 times.
Yeah. You just kept wondering, how everything had to be perfect, from the throw, the inbounds pass, the turnaround. If he would have turned one direction rather than the other, maybe he gets the shot blocked or doesn't get it off. Yeah, truly amazing.
Yeah, I wasn't a big Duke guy, but I remember that fondly. And, that was – I don't remember where I remember, like, the moment pretty fondly, and obviously you see it and it brings back memories. I don't recall it as well as, like, other things of, like, where were you when JFK was assassinated, or 9/11, or, like your example there, being at church. Like, I don't remember where I was with that. So I wasn't super, I guess, aware at that point, but that was incredible. I mean, I can envision the clip in my head right now of Christian Laettner celebrating and – just all the madness that ensued, and that was legendary stuff, no doubt about it. And we get a fresh reminder of it every single year, and will until the end of time probably, and rightfully so, really.
And we did today. We did today with Furman
getting a steal on a throw to midcourt, a perfect pass and a three to win the game, and then had to watch a three-point attempt go a little bit off, and then watching Princeton come back against number 2 seed Arizona and win that game to knock out the number 2 seed. And who knows what might happen tonight. Paxton's watching or anyone. Could it be Colgate? No way. Oral Roberts and Duke. I mean, Paul Mills' team, again, Duke's red hot, but so is Oral Roberts. Is it going to be them? Who is it going to be that is another double-digit seed or a shocker that happens tonight? Who knows what might happen?
We got, 7 games left to go tonight? We got one right now that just tipped off, Auburn, Iowa, and an 8-9, and then I believe 7 other games after that. So
bunch of games at Auburn and Iowa. Then there's a little bit of a break until about – that's Oral Roberts, Duke at 6:10. Paul, good stuff. Thank you very much. Love the open, the highlights. Garrett Ross, thank you. Jack McKenzie, our incredible list of sponsors. And then, of course, those of you who text us today and those of you in the chat room that continue to go every day. Bonehead said, watch out for Northern Iowa, and we appreciate that. Well, no, that was a reference to the top 5. For Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak. We're back at it tomorrow. About the time we start the show, we'll know if Baylor moves into the second round or not. And we'll have post-game coverage of that and more. And this is 365 Sports, and good night.